Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
It's August 22nd, and we have returned to Allen Park for another day of Lions training camp. I'm Gabrielle D. Phillips with Woodward Sports Network. Today kicked off with Dan Campbell's press conference. He touched on how he's feeling about their current roster situation and what they're going to look at going into this week against the Carolina Panthers.
I think the obvious here is, D-end, OLB-ish, we got some good depth. Inside linebacker, we got some good depth. Those two spots, the safety / nickel, we got some depth and versatility. And because of that, that's where you draw from if something goes down in other areas.
The big question everyone is asking over at Woodward Sports is who's going to be on the field this week for the game? It sounds like this week's game is going to look a lot like last's. Without the starters getting in those reps out on the field before Kansas City, how are they going to prepare? Well, we're going to see a lot of game-level action out on the field today and tomorrow. That means the speed and intensity is going to be at the game level as they face off lion to lion. Campbell gave an update on Amon-Ra St. Brown's injury situation, saying that he is in great condition. They were not planning on playing him during the Carolina game, but it looks hopeful for Kansas City. The countdown is on to the 53-man roster, and who will make that list? And how will Dan and Brad get to those final 53? Well, one thing's for sure is that there'll be no disagreement because the two are always in alignment.
We'll flip a coin. We've never had, who's going, we figure it out. We figure it out. We always do.
So knowing that the starters are getting action today, who are you hoping to see make a big splash in practice over the next 2 days as they prepare for Carolina, but also really Kansas City? More updates to come. I'm Gabrielle D. Phillips from Woodward Sports Network.
Welcome, everybody, to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Gabrielle D. Phillips, Lucas Klotz. We even got our guy Jalen joining us as well, who's going to be a part of that Broder and Booner show. Ooh. So stay tuned for that. Packed show for you guys on this Wednesday. As you just heard, Dan Campbell spoke to the media. Gabrielle D. Phillips was down there. We're going to get her thoughts on what she saw. I heard a lot about Brian Branch. So I can't wait to get into that. You know how I feel about Brian Branch. I'm never going to shy away from about talking about that man. But a lot of Lions, of course. Again, Dan Campbell mentioning no starters on Friday, which we kind of suspected that, but we got the confirmation as well. We're going to talk about ESPN Power Rankings that came out, preseason Power Rankings at 8:45. You're going to want to see where they have the Lions on that list as well. And then at 9 o'clock, 33rd team came out with some award predictions and mentioned some underdogs for these awards. And they might have mentioned some Lions players for some of the underdogs for these NFL awards, and you're going to want to find out who is that. As well, Dan Campbell in the second hour, we're going to talk about Coach of the Year odds. Favorite to win Coach of the Year. So we're going to have that conversation as well. But we'll start it off. How you doing this morning, Sam Flannel?
I'm good. It's another day. Sometimes when you wake up and there have been things in the week that don't always go your way, but then you come here in this morning and you say, I get to wake up and talk sports with the boys plus Gabby. So every day here is a good day. And we got a new guy, Jalen, who looks like he's starting his training process to be a part of the Booner and Broder show, another show that I'm very, very excited to see how that goes, because those are two of the best guys at the network. It's a good day at Woodward Sports.
No doubt about it. It was a good day for me yesterday because my mood was improved as soon as I saw the news that Chris Jones may be sitting out.
Oh, boy.
Maybe sitting out quite some time there. He responded to somebody on Twitter, and there's the graphic. Kansas City Chiefs D-tackle Chris Jones has said via his Twitter account he is willing to sit out for the first 8 weeks of the NFL season. And to kind of reference how the conversation started, he tweeted out just something, and then someone responded and said that'd be a hefty tab, responding to Chris saying he'd sit out till week 8. And he said, I can afford it. So, yeah. if you're, we're going to talk about this Kansas City Chiefs game clearly over the next, week. But this is good news, Sam Flannel. Chris Jones, their best defensive player, might not be there week 1.
Oh man, Chris Jones is such a great and impactful player that you know what? I'm gonna sit here right now, and I know I'm gonna get roasted for this. I know people are gonna say like, "Oh, so you don't believe in your God and your Lord and Savior Patrick Mahomes?" If Chris Jones doesn't play, I might just change my prediction to the Lions at this point. That is how important Chris Jones is, and it's not an excuse; it's a reason. And what is the Lions' biggest strength? The offensive line. If you don't have to block Chris Jones, if you're not tasked with blocking one of the best defensive tackles in the league, maybe the best at this point, a guy who had 15 and a half sacks last year, a guy who is a stalwart against the run as well, that is a big load off of the plate of the Lions offensive line. And I think that without Chris Jones, this defensive line and this front seven, even for that regard, I know they have some good linebackers in Bolton and Gay, but that front seven as a whole is a little bit mid without Chris Jones, and they might be able to expose some things, the Lions offensive line, but that's if Chris Jones doesn't play, but it's trending that way.
Yeah, and this isn't just some random DB, some random dude. Like, this is Chris Jones, a guy who's in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation every year. Like, yeah, of course, one player being out, it would change the line. I know that for a fact. It would change the line, no doubt. Like, he's that type of player. He's their best player on defense. So, yeah, as a Lions fan, to hear news like this, if he could be out potentially, we'll see. Nothing's confirmed. That's great news. But other great news, and the Lions might have some injury, I guess, the NFL gods are gifting them, because week 2, Jackson Smith-Njigba broke his wrist as well. So he won't be there for the Seattle Seahawks, at least for the time being. Don't know if he'll be there for week 2. But for some reason, over the last couple of days, Chris Jones possibly holding out. Jackson Smith-Njigba broke his wrist. Not saying, DK and Tyler Lockett are clearly the 1 and 2 there, but at this point, Sam, you'll take anything, especially against those two teams, which, you give the Lions a chance to go 2-0 or potentially go 0-2. It's that close. So a guy like Chris Jones or even a guy like Jackson Smith-Njigba, yeah, it's worth mentioning. It'd be good news for the Lions if those two are both out week 1 and 2.
Oh, absolutely. The pathway for the Lions starting the season 2-0, which is something that I certainly wasn't predicting. I don't even know if a lot of people here at this network were predicting it. The path it's paved. I would say that it's a lot easier if you don't have to go through Chris Jones and Jackson Smith-Njigba.
The road is smoother.
The road is smoother. I will say. Thank you, Lucas. That was the phrase I was looking for. I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's a rookie. We obviously don't know exactly what he's going to be, but I think he's going to be very, very good. 100%. And they still have Tyler Lockett. They still have DK Metcalf. They still have Kenneth Walker. They still have Geno Smith, and they acquired Bobby Wagner in the offseason. They have guys like Tariq Woolen and Quandre Diggs and the like. But still, that is just another player that the Lions don't have to deal with, and that it might not have to deal with. When I heard broken wrist, I'm like, there's no way he's playing in week 2, right? But then I also hear reports that he could be playing in week 1.
Yeah.
But either way, you're a wide receiver. I know. You got to use your hands. I know it's not
100%.
Yes,
we can look
100%.
at it like that.
Yes.
And again, welcome to everybody in the chat. I see Jeff Olson. How was Sam after watching his Jets get bodied by the Bucks on Hard Knocks last night? Can we get a checkup on you?
Oh, I'm fine.
You're okay. Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
And they're not my Jets, by the way.
No, those are your Jets. You got your Chiefs and you got your Jets, Flannel.
He won't even admit the Jets are winning the Super Bowl. So you know what? I can't say it's his Jets.
I'm not saying
I can't say it.
What if Chris Jones holds out the whole season? Then your Chiefs. If Chris Jones holds out the whole season, will the Jets win the Super Bowl?
They will get there. If Chris Jones,
he's saying
if Chris freaking Jones is out the whole season, do you guys not realize how detrimental that would be to the Chiefs?
Just say it, Flannel. The Jets will win the Super Bowl.
If Chris Jones is out for the whole goddamn season, then yes, the Jets will go to the Super Bowl.
Will they win it though?
I don't know. It depends on who they're going against.
If they play the Lions.
Oh God.
Will the Jets win the Super Bowl?
You really put him in that predicament, didn't
Say
you?
it, Flannel.
Yeah, listen.
No. I couldn't, in good conscience, even put that into the atmosphere at this point. No chance.
Again, welcome Herb Nash. He says, sorry I'm late. I was watching Suits instead of Sam's bad takes. Herb Nash, welcome to the show, my man.
There is a Suits resurgence happening across the United States right now. Have you jumped on board, either of you?
No, I have not watched it.
I have not.
Anyone?
Me and my girlfriend have been watching SWAT. I like that show a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, it's but no, I've not watched Suits. But I do see it trending on Netflix all the time. So there's that. Again, Chuck Brewer, welcome. He says, how does Chris Jones affect Holmes' play on the field? Doesn't the God just score more points to make up for it?
Oh my God! Chuck Brewer, you've had a lot of bad takes the last couple of days, and you know what? I didn't even expose some of them yesterday, and I am going to. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. It's Chris Jones. We're not talking about George Karlaftis. We're not even talking about Nick Bolton, which would be a big loss. We're talking about Chris Jones.
Who?
Stop it, Chris Jones.
Who?
Chris Jones.
Okay.
Okay.
Just wanted to confirm.
Man, getting on my nerves.
You said you were gonna have a good day today.
I'm not, it's a great day.
Don't let Chuck bring you down.
It's a great day. I'm good.
Kevin Donaldson, welcome to the show, my man. He says, so the Jets are just automatically going through the Bengals, the Bills, and the Dolphins in the AFC.
Oh yeah. I'm already on record saying that the Bengals will definitely not win the AFC North, and they might not even make the playoffs. That's the Browns division this year.
Wow. The Browns division this year. I can't wait for that one. Joe says, at Jeff, are we... so we go in Jacobs CB number 2 week 1. How has he looked? We'll get to all that in a little bit here with Gabby because, again, with the news now with Dan kind of confirming you won't see starters this week. Practice was intense yesterday. They're not playing around, and I guess that also means, hey, listen, we're going to go hard in practice, get these guys ready. We'll start prepping for Kansas City, and then you'll probably see a similar lineup as you saw last week against the Jaguars, which is some starters on defense. Rookies maybe won't play. Probably a bunch of guys that are second and third stringers.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Hopefully you get Teddy out there looking better, and he gets more comfortable. But, yeah, you won't see Jared. You won't see him Amon-Ra. All that's out the window.
I mean, I'm sure we'll discuss this more in the next segment, but it's crazy the amount of starters that have absolutely played no snaps this entire preseason. I mean, you look at the majority of the best players on this team are not going to play one snap, and we'll see how it all pans out in the regular season, at least so far. And you look at not just with the Lions, but you look at around the league, I haven't seen a ton of or really any devastating injuries to superstar players. Am I missing one? I haven't seen
You've
one.
just
Not
seen
yet.
like little guys banged up that wouldn't be ideal, like a Terry McLaurin with that toe injury. But
yeah, I mean
it's not serious, but the fact that he was even out there, I get that point.
The only one that I could think of is Jalen Ramsey, but that didn't come in preseason.
Yeah,
that's the only one I could think of.
Which kind of makes the point I've been making. You get injured anywhere.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, you could
Shout
literally
out
get
Jalen
it
over the shoulder. He's learning the TD booth
yeah.
today.
He's over there like facts. Yep, facts. I'll tell you what. We'll go to break. We get back. We'll get into what happened yesterday with Gabrielle D. Phillips. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Dispo because guys, we'll be there this Friday at the Romeo location. I'm helping out with their Men in Black commercial, so I gotta wear a suit and everything. But
Jeff, I'm also gonna be in that commercial with you.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be fun.
Do you have a suit ready?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. So I can't wait for that. But you should come hang out with us Friday. We'll be at Romeo location. So again, if you got to restock, get all your needs. They got over 12 locations. They just opened up one in Whitmore Lake. Dispo is never too far away. All Dispo locations will be having an end of summer bash on Friday, September 1st, all day long. There'll be vendors, food trucks, music, killer deals, and epic giveaways. Only at Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug.
It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour.
You're a good coach, Tim. Oh, great shot.
Some of the biggest names in Michigan sports, and some, well, not so much.
Good, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, shit. Go in.
Watch episodes at woodwardsports.com.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
When buying or selling real estate, flexibility and control over the sales process is key.
Facts.
Sellers, how would you like the freedom of canceling your listing agreement at any time for any reason with no penalty? That is exactly what Mark White & Associates offers. It's called the Minute-by-Minute Listing Agreement by Mark White & Associates. And I'm impressing Jeff Iafrate, which is hard to do. Try Mark White's risk-free minute-to-minute listing agreement today. Looking to buy or sell real estate? Visit markwhitesells.com or call 248-290-8242. Again, that is 248-290-8242. markwhitesells.com, where flexibility meets success.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Don't forget, hit the like button. We're almost at 50 likes, if you'd be so kind. We appreciate you. Don't forget as well, if you can't watch the show live, you can always catch it, re-listen on any podcast platform you get your podcast. Just look up Morning Woodward Show. Leave a 5-star review for my guy Flannel and his different flannel. I don't know if I've seen that one in quite some time.
Well,
We're mixing it up a little bit.
I had a little bit of a laundry mishap where I forgot to...
Why did he just confess like that?
Well,
mishap.
Okay, that was a very, very poor choice of words, where I woke up this morning and realized that I had forgotten to wash any clean short sleeve flannel, so I have to go long sleeve today. So
you know
we
what?
will see.
It doesn't
But
matter.
it's okay. There's going to be some rain, so I feel like if there's a day to do it, it's today.
Well, I appreciate that. I looked at the forecast. It's not going to be like sweltering or anything. You just won't see the gun show today, unfortunately. I know you guys were all looking forward to that. But I apologize. Right after I go home today, I'm doing a big load of laundry.
Man,
But you can't wait, Flannel.
can we just follow like Flannel around with a camera crew? Like,
No,
I just want a day in the life of
We'd
Flannel.
be tracking a serial killer.
Oh my God. That's messed up.
Went 0 to 100 real fast, Lucas. I appreciate that.
Lucas, Jesus,
I'm just keeping
dude.
myself safe. That's all I'm doing.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Speaking of fair, I think it's fair that Dan Campbell ain't playing starters, to be honest with you. As much as I wanted to see him. Gabrielle, you were down there. So tell us a little bit about what you saw, some of the highlights of yesterday. You were at Dan's press conference. Anything that stood out, people should know about, maybe that didn't see it on Twitter?
So the way that he said it was kind of like, we're going to do it like last week, but he didn't fully confirm that they were going to not start their starters. And then we get out to the practice field, and they're preparing. Dan's talking to the refs. The clock is up, and they're blaring fan screaming noises in the speakers around the entire practice field. And then they have like a 4x4 driving with another set of like 2 stacks of speakers that are driving behind them as they move down the sidelines to create that kind of environment. And it was so much more of a fast-paced practice than we've seen, much harder hitting, definitely more of that game time scenario. And as soon as everyone saw that, we all kind of looked at each other and were like, there's no way that he is starting starters in Carolina.
So how's, just updates on some people, Amon-Ra St. Brown, how's he looking? Any update on Jamison either? Because I don't know.
No update on Jamison. No one really asked about him. No update there. Amon-Ra St. Brown, saw him doing some work on the sidelines before, which you saw in that recap earlier in the show, which you can also find on social media if you didn't check that out. But he wasn't going to get played in Carolina anyways, which is also another confirmation that they're not going to use starters. They weren't planning on using him in Carolina, so it's just giving him that extra time to heal, to make sure he's fully okay.
All right, and before I go with my question, I have to tell you about a new show. If you want to hear more from Gabrielle D. Phillips and, of course, Matt Broder and Detroit legend Terry Foster, they are sitting at the corner of Woodward and Main Street, bringing you the latest inside information on the Detroit Lions.
Look at Broder.
Yes,
and Terry, Gabby looking good on there. Terry posed up.
What a great crew there. A very well-rounded crew. Like a lot of different opinions, a lot of different perspectives, but all coming together as one. Episodes will be coming to you twice a week week, all season long on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel, on Sundays from 8 to 9 a.m. and Tuesdays from 7 to 8 a.m. It premieres on Tuesday, September 5th. You do not want to miss this. Tune in to watch the most in-depth reporting and breakdown of the game, the players, and preparing you for the next time the Lions hit the gridiron. Woodward Sports Lions Insider Show, Detroit's first stop for game day. And I want to pose something to the room. I'll start with you, Gabby. You kind of confirmed that the Lions are definitely not playing their starters. And I'm going to start with you, but I want all of you guys to answer. JB, Lucas, Jeff, do you think it's something, nothing, or it could even be detrimental or a positive, if that makes sense?
That they're not playing their starters.
That they're not playing their starters. Because you look at, Jared Goff, Aiden Hutchinson, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, arguably four of your best players, definitely four of your best players, are not going to end up playing a snap. Is that a positive, negative, or nothing? That I'll rephrase: positive, negative, or no big deal.
I think it's a positive because they've shown they could play.
Okay.
Like that. If you're not playing in the preseason, we know what you are.
Sure.
Like Aiden's proven he's one of the better young defensive players in the league. Penei Sewell's already one of the better tackles. Like these guys have already proven enough. So to me, I would say it's a positive. The fact that they're not out there. Hence why Jameson was out there initially.
Sure. What do you think, Gabby?
I think it's a positive because the chances of them staying healthy are high, and they're not going to put themselves in that risky position going into Arrowhead, which I think is the best move.
Well, I mean, you hate to say it because you can get injured anywhere, but if, like, Dan Campbell decided, hey, we're going to play Aiden Hutchinson, we're going to play Penei Sewell or Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jared Goff just for a series, and one of them goes down with a serious injury, obviously knock on wood, and they're not going to play, it would be looked at as, what the hell was Dan Campbell doing? What a bonehead decision to play them in meaningless playing time.
Right.
So there's that risk that the Lions are avoiding. JB, is it a positive, negative, or nothing that the Lions aren't playing? Pretty much a lot of their best players aren't playing any snaps this preseason.
No, it's a positive because that confirms that week one you are going in as healthy as you can be. I think there'll be a little rust that they'll have to knock off, and maybe they'll end up getting that off in the first quarter, but I think they'll be fine. It's just trying to stay healthy and positive going into this game because you don't want any more injuries to happen on the sideline, as you've seen from previous teams, even though Terry McLaurin only went out with a toe, as you guys said, but still, it's hurting you on your offense to not have players there that you need.
They're in full speed in these practices, especially yesterday, and it's much more of a controlled situation to mitigate the injuries as much as possible. But one thing I will also throw in there is that Kirby, in like the first drive that they were doing during practice, he did have a little something happen with his thumb. He went off, it's all taped up, he didn't really get to the field much after that. So it's like, even in those situations where it's controlled, you're still going to get those little dings, but you want to avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah, it's a tough tightrope to walk between wanting to wrap them in bubble wrap, but also get them meaningful reps. I'll pose that question to you, Lucas. The fact that some of the best players on the team, the leaders, are not playing at all this preseason, positive, negative, or nothing?
It's exactly how it should be. It's a positive. I've rambled on about this plentiful of times. Starters have to practice. They don't have to play in the preseason game. If you want them to get meaningful reps, you play them in joint practice. But if you have a starter get hurt during a preseason game, no matter how good that player is, if he's meaningful, they're going to be questioning the coaching and everything from week one. That's just a bad way to start the season off. You keep your starters healthy against possibly Chris Jones-less Chiefs and Burrowhead. So I'm going to take that every time. I think the fact that he's sitting out is huge, and the fact that we're going to have all of our starters healthy, which some teams around the league might not be able to say after this preseason, especially Seattle Seahawks and the Washington Commanders, both NFC teams with their number one receiver in Terry McLaurin and what they want to be the number one wide receiver of their future in JSN being hurt to open the season. So you don't want that, and the Lions aren't going to have to deal with it. So it's a huge positive.
Yeah, and people are chiming in here, and I love, again, our viewers. I love the perspective they have. Corey Berry says it's a double-edged sword. Overall, rust is better than losing Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ragnow for whatever for that reason, or whatever. Whoever for the season, excuse me. And then Chuck chiming in, honestly, how much difference is there in rust if they play one series in a preseason game, which both those points are fair.
Yeah.
I think there's more positive, though, right? The avoiding the risk of injury. They're already proven players in the NFL, but then the only negative I could think of would be, well, rust, but especially for a team that started so slow during Dan's tenure. But to me, the whole rust thing, that I would take health. It being healthy over just being rusty.
It's like, what rust is there really to shake off? Like, it's not like we have vets that have been sitting there just like that their joints and bones are creaking at this point. Like, this is one of the youngest teams in the NFL that have the same coordinators as they did last year. There's not going to be a lot of rust.
And the rust, too. I mean, you have 2 joint practices, like with other teams, full speed. Like, I don't know. The rust thing might be even over-exaggerated to some extent, too.
Sure, and the reality is, and I really, really hate to minimize the preseason because I do think there were legitimate takeaways. There are people that have won roster spots. You definitely have to see how the rookies look on an NFL field, which you saw all of them, all the really meaningful ones play in at least the first preseason game. But if you have a clean bill of health, no matter what, everything else doesn't matter. That is a successful preseason. I think we would all agree at that point.
If you get out of the preseason healthy and you find a couple good depth pieces, that's what the preseason for. The preseason is not to throw your starters out there and see what they can do, because you already know what they can do.
Right, I mean, who knows? Maybe you wouldn't have a guy like Stephen Gilmore making plays.
Exactly. That's what the preseason's for.
Yes, right. If you had Emmanuel Mosley, he was healthy and he was out there, or Cam Sutton, he was healthy, he was out there. You wouldn't have a chance for a guy like Stephen Gilmore. So it all again, it's more positive always.
My bigger question is if they're going to play those key rookie pieces in this next game, or for how much, like a Laporta, like a Branch, like a Campbell, how much time we're going to see them on the field against Carolina.
Well, speaking of Branch, you got to see him yesterday, and all I've been seeing on Twitter is he was the best defensive player on the field.
He looked so good and made it look so easy. I mean, for a rookie, let's start there. He's a rookie, and he's making such big strides that he looks like he's a piece of this team, and he's playing to the level of these veterans on this team, and he's gotten the respect from the other players on this team. You see how excited they are for him, and you see them putting him in situations where they're testing his limits, and I think that says a lot of what the coaching staff is thinking of him.
And Mark says, what are you guys going to say if they're flat and get blown out? Well, if they get blown out by the Chiefs, the last thing I'm going to say is they should have played in the preseason.
Yes. Like, there would be much more questions to ask besides, why didn't I see him for a drive against Carolina? Come on.
Yeah,
if they get blown out to the Chiefs, well, it's probably because the Chiefs outcoached and outplayed them, which has nothing to do with the preseason. Because the Chiefs are really one of the only teams that are going out there playing their starters for numerous drives.
Yeah.
So say what you want. And they also have a new offensive coordinator, new receivers. Like, they probably don't want to be throwing the starters out there as much as they are.
Yeah, I'm with you. The last thing I would be is to come on this show and say, you know what? They should have played a drive. No. That's the last thing I'm doing.
And I agree with you guys for the most part. But if the Lions come out at Kansas City and just don't look ready and look flat, I'm not going to say, oh, it was all because they didn't play in the preseason, but I might think to myself, maybe they could have got their starters a few more reps in maybe week 1 of the preseason. Would that be unfair?
Week 1 I'd be cool with.
Okay,
it's too late now.
I would, and that is 100% fair. At this point, they're kind of committed to not playing at least the big-time starters. I mean, I'm sure you might see some rookies get some reps. I mean, I don't know if Jack Campbell's going to play. He's played both preseason games. I don't know about even a guy like Malcolm Rodriguez, who was one of the few starters who played last week as well. We shall definitely see. And by the way, Lucas and Booner, I heard you guys call it Burrowhead. I hear everything, guys, and I see everything.
I'm just saying what it is.
Oh, it's not. I mean, did you see the AFC Championship game last year? Did you see the Super Bowl ring that Patrick Mahomes was able to flash on this finger right here? This is my ring finger, by the way, and that trophy that he held up in that parade in Kansas City. Yes, and man, I think that was all put to bed in last year's AFC Championship game, and especially when Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals never win a Super Bowl, ever.
Speaking of being put to bed, if you ever have bedhead, you know where to go. It's Lady Jane's.
Well,
tell us, Sam Flannel.
That is a hell of a transition, and I don't think I have bedhead today. You know why I don't have bedhead? Because I go to Lady Jane's, of course. Of course. Hey! Because all of those wonderful stylists do a great job of getting me looking as good as I always do, and my hair looking as good as it always does. And you can walk into any Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not 1, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy 2 Jeff Iafrate of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, 1 for you and 1 for your wife, girlfriend, or best bud. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Hey, this is Mr. Kearney, Chief Academic Officer, Academy of Warren. I want to welcome you to the brand new field house. The state-of-the-art facility has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field. It can be used for 7-on-7 football. Our K-8 academic features AM, PM, latchkey, small classroom sizes, learning street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Houghton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, K-8 athletics, and more. Enroll today at academywarren.net.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
Play, practice, and party at 5 Iron Golf, located inside of the Cambria Hotel. Downtown's newest sports bar has 13 TrackMan simulators, certified instructors, and a full bar and restaurant. Mention promo code Woodward at checkout for 50% off your first visit, and visit 5irongolf.com to tee up good times. Woodward Sports Network is also participating in a Thursday night golf league on the simulators with fans, and yours truly, who has two thumbs and is going to be there this Thursday? This guy. And if you saw my swing on last Thursday's edition of the Morning Woodward Show, you don't want any of this smoke. I'm just kidding. My swing is horrible. But I'd love to meet all of you guys, and you know what? I can laugh at myself because I am that kind of guy. And this league is hosted by 5 Iron Golf and co-presented by Mark White Associates and Long Drink Alcoholic Beverage. And, you know, anything you want to find out about 5 Iron Golf, you can visit, or you could visit their website at 5irongolf.com.
You know what, Flannel? Your swing may not be fantastic, but your jokes are there.
I appreciate that.
You are that guy, Flannel. You are sure that guy.
Yeah. Hey, and you're a great guy too, Lucas.
You're that guy, pal. And we're at the Morning Woodward Show.
That doesn't sound like a compliment, but that's all right. You know,
I love you, Sam. We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Don't forget, hit the like button on the video. We'll try to get to as many as we can by the end of this segment. Plenty more to get to, Lions related. I want to discuss something that Dan talked about. In Lucas, you have the video. I know you're Elite TD. Yeah. Okay, I don't even know why I questioned it. Shame on me.
You do your job. I'll do mine.
Shame on me. But this is Dan Campbell talking about the depth this roster has.
I think the obvious here is, D-end, OLB-ish, we got some good depth. Inside linebacker, we got some good depth. I mean, those two spots, the safety / nickel, man, we got some depth and versatility. And because of that, that's where you draw from if something goes down in other areas.
And Dan Campbell speaking on the depth the Detroit Lions have, and again, for him speaking on it, it's something we've known. We talk about the defensive line, the depth they have, and it's always been a storyline, Flannel, that they're going to have to cut somebody that nobody wants them to cut. That's just how this works. And potentially, and I mentioned this yesterday, but Julian Okwara could be one of those guys. The Giants are making phone calls, or at least they're rumored to be making phone calls.
Breaks your heart, I bet, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm dying on that hill. I really don't
love
know.
Julian.
It's really the upside I'm interested in. I really am. And I know, like, Broder kind of mentioned this when he was on the show like 2 weeks ago, and he was like, well, he's been up and down. Again, that sounds right for Julian. And then he comes out against the Giants and has that game. It's like, it's hard. But I also understand that you're going to have to cut someone that the fans and even the coaching staff are like, ugh. That's tough.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's a good problem to have, though.
100%. You mentioned Julian Okwara, a guy who I think in a perfect world none of us would want to cut because we see the talent that he has. And I think there are a lot of rosters in which he could actually make the team and be a big contributor for him. I mean, even last year with the Lions, he did have a game with 2 sacks, and in 2021 he had 5. But he's never quite lived up to that hype that he had. And I don't know if he had a ton of hype, but he was a 3rd-round draft pick. You saw the talent in him, and he has just not been able to stay on the field. And you also look at some of the standouts from training camp from the preseason. You look at a guy like Starling Thomas. You look at a guy like Stephen Gilmore. You even look at guys like Dylan Drummond and Chase Cota. Are we sure that any of those guys will even make the 53-man roster? I think there's a chance that a couple of them do, but I also think there's a chance that none of them do. Even though they've showed out, even though they've been impressive, it's a very exclusive club to be on a 53-man roster. And I think it speaks to the fact that the Lions, even though I would say when we talk about wide receivers, we talk about depth being a concern, even Dylan Drummond and Chase Cota, they have a lot of players who I'd say are at least competent, and they might be guys that fall by the wayside. We talk about the secondary. That is very, very deep. I mentioned Starling Thomas. I mentioned Stephen Gilmore. Another guy that I haven't even mentioned is a guy who started a lot of games last year, Will Harris.
Oh.
Are we sure that he's going to be on the team?
Let me tell you. I would not be frowning at all if Will Harris got cut. I get it. He's a Dan Campbell guy. Dan Campbell loves Will Harris. But what has Will Harris really done in his tenure here? Absolutely nothing.
Right.
They had to switch his positions because he couldn't cover at corner.
Yeah, that's factual.
Or I'm sorry, at safety. They've been moving the corner. Well, it's just like, oh my God, what are we doing? Like, if we're gonna hang on to somebody, I don't think Will Harris is worth hanging on to when there's better DBs that are honestly free agents out there.
Would you rather have would you rather them keep a guy like Stephen Gilmore or Starling Thomas over Will Harris?
Yes, because I believe that in 2 years they could do more than Will Harris ever has for the Lions.
How many years has Will Harris been in the league?
I want to say 3, 4.
He's been in the league for
he might be a Patricia pick. About
I think he was.
Yeah, I think he was third round out of Boston College.
But Gabrielle, at least for the roster, the depth they have is a good problem to have. But anybody that maybe that has given you kind of, before they make any of these final decisions, anybody that should be on cut watch, maybe that you think will be either on the practice squad, maybe it's Dylan Drummond, maybe it's Chase Cota, maybe Stephen Gilmore, who I don't want them to cut, but anybody in danger there, maybe a Julian Aquara being traded.
Do we need to talk about the quarterbacks, or are we just automatically factoring Martinez out?
Martinez.
What about Sudfeld, though?
He's got to be. I'm sorry. And I'll just say this.
I always say Sudfeld.
Martinez is good as gone. That man has to be cut at some point. And love the guy. Probably a great human being, but he has to be cut. And then when Hendon Hooker gets activated, they got to cut Nate Sudfeld.
To be honest, I'm really surprised how long they've actually kept him around after they were confident that Teddy Bridgewater was coming here. Yesterday, it was just Bridgewater and Jared Goff on the field.
Hell yeah. That's what we like to hear.
That was it. Not a single toe of Nate Sudfeld took to that field yesterday.
That's what we like to hear.
Let alone Martinez.
I bet the defense was unhappy because they couldn't show out against Sudfeld. But listen, and I'm not even joking here. They might keep Martinez over Sudfeld because Martinez would be great to like be on the practice squad against when you're going up against a mobile quarterback. Like when you go up against Lamar.
Yeah, that's a great point.
You'd much rather practice against a mobile quarterback that can kind of act like he's Lamar. And Nate Sudfeld, what is he acting like besides a bum?
You know what? That's actually a really great point, Lucas.
And I'm not even kidding.
You know what? No, you got like a clap, something like a sound we can give Lucas right now. Yeah, you deserve a round of applause.
Ball nowhere.
That's a great point. And honestly, Nate Sudfeld, it's probably not if, it's when he gets cut, and especially with the reporting of Hendon Hooker, he will be activated at some point. Like Nate Sudfeld,
what news that was.
Yeah, he's just kind of holding on at this point.
I mean, we talk about Adrian Martinez possibly being a scout team quarterback or even like a practice squad quarterback, which could be of value, especially since the Lions have the, I would say, unenviable task of playing Justin Fields twice and Lamar Jackson once. That is a hell of a gauntlet when it comes to running quarterbacks, two of the best running quarterbacks ever, and the Lions have 3 matchups against both of them combined. But speaking of that defense, where did Aiden Hutchinson go to college? That would be Michigan. And guess what? Woodward Sports resident Spartan Spencer Raxter and Walmart Wolverine, myself, Flannel Sam, myself, go head-to-head in Woodward Sports' latest show, Woodward Rivals. You won't want to miss myself, Flannel Sam, breaking down why this may be the year for U of M, or heavyweight Spencer Raxter, I don't like this, body slam every Flannel Sam stat that comes his way and defend Sparty's honor. You don't want any of this, Spencer Raxter. I know you don't. Tune in on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for this premiere on Friday, September 1st from 10 to 11 p.m. weekly. Don't miss the most anticipated Michigan State show Detroit has to offer, Woodward Rivals. Man, I'm really looking forward to that one.
That'll be a good show. I think it will.
You and Spenny.
Because I think Flannel, no matter what, you're always unapologetically Flannel. But if there's one thing that Spencer's going to do, He's going to check you every time, and I think the people are going to love it. I think that's going to be great content between you two.
Well, I mean, me and Spencer, as everybody knows, we kind of like came up together on Big D Energy, and we're very, very civil. We're good friends off the air, but we've had a couple of knockdown dragouts on the show, and we'll see what comes up on Woodward Rivals. I'm definitely very, very excited about that one. But yeah, I guess when we're talking about depth positions like defensive backs or even Julian Okwara possibly being cut, I would say it's a good problem to have. I know there's a couple of decisions where, I don't know, Dan Campbell or Brad Holmes, it might end up being a little bit dicey. It might end up not being the right one if they keep Will Harris and he doesn't do anything and Starling Thomas continues to look good in practice. But still, when we're talking about the 53rd, 52nd man on the team, those are guys you don't expect to be big contributors anyway. Right. So I think it's all a good problem to have. That just shows you have roster depth at very, very important positions. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I saw this comment too that I think it was Hoof Hearted mentioning, and I'm going to mistake in his words, but basically saying that they may stash Sudfeld on the practice roster, the practice squad as well.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, who's he making better? He's not making the starters any better. I'm sorry, he's not.
Don't do that. Please do not do that. Peter says Kabinda needs to go. What?
No.
I love Kabinda, man.
And I'm not even saying this to be funny. Kabinda was killing people on special teams on Saturday too. Like, he was a huge reason why the Lions have had constantly good returns this preseason. So keep him. And the Lions need a fullback with this offense.
Look at Broder chiming in. He says Sudfeld ain't going nowhere. Sudfeld. And apparently the rumors are he's like valuable in the film room. Just hire him to be a part of the coaching staff.
I don't care. Yeah, JT Barrett's out there being a coach. Nate Sudfeld can do the same exact thing. He can still make some money from the Detroit Lions. Just take off the helmet, the pads, and the cleats, please. I'm begging you.
Has that ever happened? I think that's happened where a player, like, he's playing in the NFL and he retires and immediately joins the coaching staff. Like, can't Nate Sudfeld just do that?
Kellen Moore. I think Kellen Moore did.
Well, Nate Sudfeld, there you go. You stick with the organization.
Honestly, I could
become
see
a coach.
that working really well for his personality.
Yeah, like, he doesn't have to be a quarterback on the practice squad, especially if you keep Adrian Martinez. Now, if you cut him, okay, maybe you got something there. But yeah, I don't know about that one. I see Kellen Moore, so yeah, it is Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore, bro. Kellen Moore's teeth. Like, when people say look like a horse, it's something. But Kellen Moore, honestly, looks like a fucking donkey. Like that dude is the most
Lucas.
donkey. That's when you see Kellen Moore on the sideline. That's what Mike McCarthy was doing.
That's messed up. Kellen Moore catching strays in Detroit.
He was elite at Boise State, though. I'm not saying the man wasn't a dog.
Well, John says, "What makes you think Nate Sudfeld can coach?" Well, John, I don't know if he could play quarterback, so we have to think of something for Nate Sudfeld. And if he's valuable in the film room, make him a coach, I guess. Broder says he'll be the emergency third quarterback, not taking a roster spot until Hendon Hooker is healthy. Then Sudfeld will likely go to the practice squad. So we're cutting Adrian Martinez. That's already decided by Broder. Because you're not keeping two quarterbacks in the practice squad and having four. Like,
I know you mentioned Dylan Drummond earlier, and I do want to jump back around to him because Terry Foster was actually out at practice yesterday, working on a little story on Dylan Drummond that will be hitting the Woodward Sports website very soon, so you're going to want to check that out. Had a chance to talk with him about Drummond and just kind of where he was feeling with him, because, you know, he is one of those people on that fringe that were like, okay, is he making it in the bubble or is he going to be popped right out? And I don't know. Where are you guys standing right now between Dylan Drummond and Chase Cota?
Me and Lucas talked about this over the weekend too. It's tough. I guess it's like pick your flavor. Dylan Drummond, I think, has shown, you know, he's done more, especially in training camp. But then Chase Cota, like the size he has, it kind of intrigues me. But I'd probably lean Dylan Drummond, to be honest with you.
I would probably lean Dylan Drummond as well. But in a perfect world, I think the Lions should find a way to get Corey Davis and put both of them on the practice squad. I don't know if either of them are going to be NFL receivers when it's all said and done. My goodness, Lucas.
Look at those teeth. That man looks like a donkey. I'm sorry. That man's teeth are insane.
That is a man.
Like, he's eating grass, potatoes, and yams.
What is your obsession with Kellen Moore now? What happened?
I mean, he's a great offensive mind, but I've always just been astonished at this man's teeth. They're the biggest set of teeth. Like, he He's a
I don't
donkey,
even
man.
think
That's the
they're
most
that
realistic
bad.
looking donkey from a human I've ever seen.
The way you were explaining them, I thought they were going to be much worse.
If you see him in action, like it was probably that's like a decent picture of him. If you see him on action on the sideline, you're like, oh
hold
my
on,
God, I see what he's talking about.
Nicholas Earl is saying Lucas talking about someone's looks is ironic.
Oh, what are we saying here? What are we saying here? Keep me away from your mother, Nicholas.
Keep me away from your mother.
Say hi to your mother for me.
And John chiming in the doc, he says, I would lean Chase Cota due to his size. Khalif is similar to Drummond. And I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't have a ton of dudes that are above 6'3" on this raw. I mean, after Denzel Mims is now cut. But if you keep Chase Cota, sure, fine. But I think it's a win-win. What about you, Gabby? I mean, what have you seen out of both? I guess, what would you think they would go? What direction?
I think with the amount of reps that he's getting in, I'm leaning towards they're more confident in Chase Cota right now. But I still think it's pretty much up in the air. I think we might get closer to that answer this week, and seeing them both out on the field in Carolina, that is 100% going to happen.
Yeah, and again, Chase Cota, he's impressed. I was at the first preseason game. Lucas, we were there, and Chase Cota made plays, dude. He was the only guy out there really making plays.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. This is by no means like slandering Chase Cota, but I think the way that the Lions are using Dylan Drummond, they use him outside and in the slot. They're using him a lot in motion, so I think they look at him as more of a playmaker. Chase Cota at 6'4", you're never really going to see him inside the slot, so I think if you're going to have to invest the stock into one guy, it would be Dylan Drummond, just because he's more... I know the word, especially with the Lions, gets thrown around a lot, but it's really what the team is built on, is how versatile he is compared to Chase Cota. So I think that's the one reason why I'm leaning slightly over there. But then again, we saw Chase Cota make plays in the return game. The Lions obviously value that too, so it could go either way, but I'm leaning a little bit towards Dylan Drummond.
Funky chiming in. So when does Luke... When will Lucas hang up his pride flag? Just asking, because dude is always bringing up other dudes' looks.
Well,
Your response.
outside of that, when have I ever made an egregious about that? I've never been like, damn, that dude's hot. Like, I've never once said that. I think it's like downplaying it.
Yeah, no.
I've never been like, whoa. Look how good looking this dude is. Like, no, I'm always been like, this dude is fucking weird.
And then
looking.
Alex chiming in, don't slander Lucas, he knows ball.
I do. I know ball. And then Rose, the one who was like, I agree. He looks like he can bite you through a chain link fence by Shane D.
Yeah. All right, you know what? Let's get to SMA, and then we'll go to break here and talk more Lions. But first, I got to tell you, the sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com for more information.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
I'll be over there with the drip. Might spill in my cup.
Thank you for sticking with us. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Don't forget, hit the like button if you would so graciously do so. We appreciate you joining us. You could have been anywhere else this morning, but you're hanging out with us, so we appreciate you for that. Don't forget as well, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. If you can't watch the show live, you can always catch it. Any podcast platform you get your podcast. Morning Woodward Show, leave a 5-star review. I want to read this comment because I read it going into break. And now I put the poll up because we just want to get to the people on this. Who's better looking, Kellen Moore or Lucas Klotz?
It ain't even a debate.
Oh, it isn't? Well, it's 50-50 right now.
If females were voting on this poll, it'd be a much different answer.
Jake says, was Lucas saying he knows balls this whole time? Not ball?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just checking.
No.
right.
I listen to Louis Riddick. I don't listen to. Oh no, I'm trying to. think.
Don't do it.
We'll leave the conversation there.
Don't do it. All right.
Let the people decide where they want to take that.
Let's get to these preseason power rankings. I put the graphic. I sent it to you.
Which one is it for?
Yeah, it's ESPN, and it's just the top 10 power rankings list. It's in the Morning Woodward Show group thread, and it was interesting to see. The Lions make the top 10 list. This is new for us. This is new territory. I remember doing it during the season. Power rankings, and I always thought they would, at least at the end of last season, they were like borderline a top 10 team. Preseason, Sam Flannel, they have him as a top 10 team, and there you go. There's the explanation why. I'll read it. Post-draft ranking 13, now they're 10. On the hot seat, quarterback Jared Goff, they write. Expectations are high in Detroit, and the Lions have reassured Goff that he is their guy. With that being said, it would be a disappointment if the Lions don't reach the postseason after narrowly missing the playoffs in 2022. That's true. The Lions finished the season with 8 wins in their last 10, and Goff's strong play was a major factor, but they'll need him to be consistent all season. In his third year in Detroit, he'll have to produce. If he hopes to lock down a long-term deal, Goff is signed through 2024, but the team also drafted Hendon Hooker in the third round of April's draft. So the future isn't clear for him in Detroit. And that's Eric Woodward. What do you think, Sam Flannel? Top 10 team in the NFL? Now, I have a bigger concern, though. If you have that graphic, you can throw it up because there's a problem.
Can you resend it? Because it's not going to pop up.
Yes, I'll send it because there's a problem with one of the teams that are ranked there. But I guess just your thoughts on them being a top 10 team, and then we'll get to my problem with the list.
I mean, that's kind of about where you would think that they are. Is it a little bit symbolic that they're a top 10 team going into this season, where going into last season they were nowhere near that? They were projected to be one of the worst teams in the league. It is a testament to how far they've come, and I think it's also a testament that they are ranked ahead going into this season, ahead of Jacksonville and Seattle, 2 teams that had basically the same record, but those teams actually made the playoffs. In the case of Jacksonville, they won a playoff game, and Seattle actually beat Detroit head-to-head last year in one of the Lions' worst losses of the season. So it just shows how much the Lions, the national media respects what the Lions did in the offseason and sees good things ahead for them. I think it's interesting too, and I'm curious to get everybody's thoughts on this. On the hot seat, Jared Goff, of all people. And I know that we here, at least me and you, Jeff, and you, Lucas, as well, and I know, JB, you're a big Hendon Hooker guy. We're not necessarily in the keep Goff forever camp, but at the same time, it's weird because Goff was definitely one of the stronger pieces of last year's team. He had the best year of his career. The offense was top 5 in scoring, and now they're looking at him as on the hot seat. And I'm kind of wondering if the national media, if the Lions drafting or even taking a flyer on Hendon Hooker plays a big factor in this, because they do have a contingency plan just in case Jared Goff, they don't want to pay him. They don't want to pay him a big extension. And speaking of the Detroit Lions, JB, you've got a lot of money invested into them this year.
I surely do. And I should have gone to the one man at Woodward that everyone needs to go to for their lock for College game day, or if you just need to know if you should take the under for the Bears on Sunday, or if you just want to know how many glizzies Joey Chestnut is going to house this year, and that is our boy, the man, Booner of Woodward Bets. Have no fear, because Booner is locking in all football season to bring you the best picks only on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel, Saturdays at 11 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m., premiering September 2nd. College football, he's got you. NFL football, you know it. Woodward Bets, watch on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel very, very soon. And yes, I do have a lot of money on the Lions, so I need them to pull through this year.
Well, speaking of them needing to pull through, I think a good place to start is what actually national media thinks of them, which they've been the darling, right, this whole offseason. But, Lucas, you have it?
Oh, yeah.
All right, throw it up. We'll check this list out because I have a couple things I want to point out here. So here's the top 10 list, power rankings for the preseason. Couple things to note. You look at NFC teams, you have Philly, San Francisco, Dallas, the Lions. So what ESPN is telling me is they're a top 4 team in the NFC.
Sure.
Which, that's great. I think that I would agree with that. Although, and another thing to point out before I get to my problem is every team in front of the Lions are consistently kind of in that playoff chase, at least over the last couple of years, right? The Chargers, the Ravens, the Cowboys, Dolphins, Bills, 49ers, Bengals, Eagles, Chiefs. they've all been in the playoffs. That's also great news. My problem is, though, the Dallas Cowboys at 7. I would even make an argument. I think the argument between, and even the Ravens, trust me, the Ravens, as defensively, have a ton of talent, but I would argue the Lions are a more complete roster. I think that, and I think they should be higher. But again, I can't complain because they're a team that has not made the playoffs and they're in a top 10 ranking list. So I get both. But what do you think about Dallas at 7?
I don't mind it. I mean, I'm somebody who I think is a little bit higher on the Cowboys than the majority of people here. Hey, but you know what? They've got
on brand. So on brand.
What do you mean on brand?
Cowboy lover.
I'm not a Cowboy lover, but
Dak Prescott defender.
Hey, Dak Prescott just 2 years ago had 37 touchdowns and 10
Well,
picks.
last year he led the league in interceptions.
He did in 12 starts. That's obviously terrible, but you know what? But people just seem to conveniently forget that a couple years ago he was arguably a top 5 quarterback in terms of production.
Yeah, I would arguably is the key word there.
Production in the NFL. He's obviously not a top 5 quarterback, but when it comes to the Cowboys, I mean, they did make the playoffs last year. They did win a playoff game. They do have Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Stephon Gilmore, Leighton Vander Esch, Zach Martin, CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, and I think that Dak Prescott is at least comparable to Jared Goff. I think they're right about in the same ballpark. So this idea that the Cowboys, oh my God, how did they have them at 7? That's about where they should be. They were a 12-win team last year, and I think they got better roster-wise, and they dumped the dead weight of Zeke Elliott too. Is that fair? I think that'll help them.
Hey, I'll take it for now, week 1, but I'm gonna let that fuel the fire.
Yeah,
because the Lions were what if they were to be ranked last year, week 18, they'd probably be like 13th best team. They'd have all the preseason teams, and right outside would be the Lions. So rank them low now. Put them at 10. Put the cute little Cowboys, Rain Dakota Prescott. You want to make CeeDee Lamb feel special? Go ahead, put them at 7. Deuce Vaughn, Tony Pollard, they're cute. But come the regular season, come week 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, the Lions are going to be the better team.
Yeah,
so go ahead and rank them there now.
Yeah,
It'll
Cowboys,
be changing later.
listen, they could be ranked 7 because they're probably going to score 7 in a divisional round playoff game and lose. So I'm cool with that. Right, the Cowboys can be 7 all they want. And I understand, I'm not stupid, I understand how these preseason rankings work. The Lions have not proven anything. So I can't be upset and demand the Lions are a top 6 team when they haven't shown anything. So I get that part of it. But man, the Cowboys, they're always going to be in these top 10 rankings.
That's it.
And then they fall short.
That's their ceiling right there. The Cowboys are great on charts, on PFF grades. They're great on everything. But when the lights come on and Rain Dakota Prescott has to make a play.
Thank you.
Okay.
Don't be surprised when nothing happens.
Speaking of quarterbacks, though, I want to mention because you brought this up earlier, Sam, and someone in the chat was chiming about it with Jared Goff being like, and Eric Woodward wrote the piece on the Lions, and he wrote the player under the most pressure on the hot seat is Jared Goff. And I know people when they say that are like, what? He's not on the hot seat, and I don't think. See, it's hard because when you hear hot seat, it's all the attention's on Jared Goff, which I don't think is true. I think AG deserves a lot of that as well. Like AG last year, that defense was awful until the second half of the season. So there's that. Now, I would argue, though, Jared is under pressure. I mean, this is a guy that you traded for. He was thrown in with that Matthew Stafford deal, and he had some rough years in L.A. He had a bounce-back season last year, but it's 1 year. And I think Jared can duplicate it, right? He has a returning OC. He's got the weapons. He's got the offensive line. Everything's set up, but you can't deny that there's a spotlight on Jared Goff, especially when it's time to pay him soon.
Well, it's time to pay. It's time to pay him, and especially if he has a good year, he's probably going to ask for a pretty damn hefty extension, especially considering what Daniel Jones got, what even Geno Smith got. And here's the thing about Jared Goff, and here's why I think he is under pressure. Maybe the hot seat is a little bit too harsh of a term because you think hot seat, you think you're about to lose your job.
Right. I don't want that to be the case.
Well, and that's fair. But with Jared Goff, what has he proven? And I've mentioned this before. What has he proven without a shadow of a doubt that Jared Goff can do? He can put up good numbers. He can win you a lot of games when you have a very, very good situation around him and a very brilliant offensive mind, i.e. Ben Johnson and Sean McVay. So if Jared Goff even takes a bit of a step back, if the Lions fall short of expectations, I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. He could be in danger of losing his spot at the very... Maybe even just where they're like, we're not going to extend you, we're going to let you play out your contract, and then Hendon Hooker takes over. All of that is on the table. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying that when you look at them drafting Hendon Hooker, a guy who would have been maybe a first-round draft pick if he didn't get hurt, a guy who probably would have won the Heisman last year if he didn't get hurt, that's a name on a lot of people's radar. So I think a lot of people were like, okay, Jared Goff, show us what you got. Show us that you can earn your big extension. And honestly, Jeff, and I think you probably agree with me, even if he does show out, are we sure we want to give Jared Goff $50 million a year, 5 years?
And that's
I don't know.
Now, here's Chuck Brewer chiming in. He says,
$50 million?
Yeah, I know, right? $50 million is a lot of money. It's a lot of chicken right there. And Chuck Brewer chiming in. He says, who has more playoff wins, Goff or Rain? Rain is the guy who should be on the hot seat.
Oh, my God. Do
Chuck's not wrong.
Do I have to go through this again?
Chuck's not wrong.
What do you got to go through, Flannel?
That Dak Prescott has 11 touchdown passes in the playoffs and Jared Goff has 4.
That's fine. But at the end of the day, those stats are cute and all, but if you're not winning games, you're throwing all these touchdowns and something's got to change. Like, I'd much rather have a quarterback who threw 4 touchdowns in the playoffs and has won than a guy who's thrown 11 and really chokes pretty much every time.
Yeah, how many NFC Championship games has he appeared in, Dak Prescott?
None.
And he's had a squad around him.
He's had a squad.
Last year, he had a defense. He had the weapons.
Those stats don't equate to NFC Championship
No, I'll
appearances.
be honest. Dak Prescott gagged the last 2 years, both against the 49ers. That's fair. That is 100% fair. But Jared Goff, especially in the playoffs in that 2018 season, he got carried. He threw one touchdown.
We're not denying that. But the thing that I like about Jared Goff is if he gets carried, he doesn't care. Like, he knows his role. Dak Prescott does not know his role. Dak Prescott secretly thinks he's better than Patrick Mahomes, and he acts on it. You can think that, but he tries to be Patrick Mahomes out there. Jared Goff stays in the pocket, hits open receivers. He doesn't try to pull nothing out of his ass. Dak Prescott is always trying to do that, and that's the reason why Dak Prescott will always run into trouble, because he doesn't know his role.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, speaking of defenses, because Dak should be thankful his defense held the 49ers to 19 points this year, and he still lost. Guardian Alarm would never. Guardian Alarm would have shut the 49ers out. Like, they wouldn't even allow them to score at all. That's Guardian Alarm.
Spike there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, they would have just left the field. Guardian Alarm is that type of defense. They got customized solutions from real experts. They got 24/7 professional monitoring, and they got technology backed by people. All you got to do, call 1-800-STAY-OUT. Tell them your friends at Woodward Sports they sent you. Call them 1-800-STAY-OUT. Tell them your friends at Woodward Sports sent you.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like a landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. So register today at OutdoorEquipCo.com, and even you could have DMAC on your landscaping crew.
How would you like to win a $100K Vegas getaway? Take your closest friends, live it up in the city that never sleeps. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, you got it. Cintron can help you get there. All you got to do, purchase a 24-pack today. You're entered to win the $100K Vegas getaway at drinkcintron.com/Vegas. Buy a Cintron at your local Meijer store. Again, that's drinkcintron.com/Vegas. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Don't forget, hit the like button if you haven't already. We're 2 away from 100 likes. 2 dose. Hit the like button. Support the show. We much appreciate that. Everybody for tuning in. Again, if you can't watch the show live, you can always catch it any podcast platform you get your podcast. Morning Woodward Show. Leave a 5-star review. I want to go through something the 33rd team put out, and I'm going to be honest with you. I like the 33rd team. I mess with them. They always show love
ball
to the
knowers.
Yeah, they do.
Outside of Clay Harbor. Clay Harbor doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's tough. But they also were showing the Lions some love. They had Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown mentioned in some of these graphics they put out. And you could throw either one up, and we'll discuss them here, because these both stood out to me. Look at this. NFL MVP pick. They go with Joe Burrow. He's at plus 700. But look at that. Is this Broder? Is Broder writing for the 33rd team? Favorite long shot, Jared Goff, plus 4,000.
Man, we were just talking about on the hot seat. So what if he wins MVP?
Well, For Jared to win MVP, the pathway is Matty Ice.
Yeah,
that's the
100%.
pathway.
Kyle Shanahan, Matty Ice.
Yeah, and Ben Johnson, I would like to call him. He's a mini little Kyle Shanahan out there with his new, offense, making Jared Goff look really well. But Jared Goff's also executing it very well. But plus 4,000, Sam Flannel, those are pretty good odds for Jared Goff.
I think you're honestly just throwing your money away at this point. And I'm not trying to be a dick. This is no disrespect to Jared Goff, but because I'm going to do something with you guys that some of you are going to like and some of you are not, I'm going to get a little granular, as Neil Rule said, because I kind of had to nerd out yesterday when I was doing a little bit of research for this segment. So I want to remind everybody what it takes and what it's historically taken to win MVP in this league. So the last 10 MVPs, AP MVPs, have been quarterbacks. 8 out of those 10 have led their team to the number 1 seed in their respective conferences. And you look at, in 2013, Peyton Manning, he won an MVP with 55 touchdown passes, which is the NFL record for touchdown passes in a season, while they led them to the number 1 seed. Aaron Rodgers has won 3 of those MVPs. In his average MVP season in the last 10 years, his last 3, 41 touchdowns, 4.7 interceptions, while leading the Packers to a number 1 seed twice and a number 2 seed another year, in which they tied for the best record at 12-4 but lost the tiebreaker. You even look at Patrick Mahomes. His average of his 2 MVP seasons, 45.5 touchdown passes, while leading the Chiefs to the number 1 seed both times. And you look at Lamar Jackson, 36 touchdowns, 6 picks, 1,200 rushing yards, led the Ravens to a 14-2 record.
Yep.
You look at 2015, Cam Newton, 35 touchdown passes, 10 rushing touchdowns, led the Panthers to a 15-1 record. You look at you look at Matt Ryan in 2016. You look at that would be Jared Goff's comp. Matt Ryan, 38 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, while leading the Falcons to a number 2 seed at 11-5.
Number 2.
Number 2. The one I would say, if you want to look at a pathway to where Jared Goff can maybe put up these kind of numbers these next year, maybe 2017 Tom Brady, where he had 32 touchdowns, 8 picks.
Goff and Brady?
32 touchdowns, 8 picks, but also led the New England Patriots to a 13-3 record and the number 1 seed. My point is that Jared Goff is not just going to have to get better next year and the Lions are going to have to win more. He is going to have to go to a level that he has never gone into through his career. And the Lions are probably going to have to win 12 and 13 games, because I've given you the numbers of the past 10 MVP winners, those astronomical numbers, those teams that have won 13, 14, 15 games, number 1 seed, number 1 seed, number 1 seed, number 2 seed. Jared Goff last season, 29 touchdowns, 7 picks, Lions missed playoffs.
Well, are you done?
Yes.
Okay, because I want to try and make this case now. And I'm not saying Jared will win MVP, but I'll tell you the pathway he can do it. Okay? The Eagles. That NFC East, how long has it been since a team has won back-to-back in that division?
It's been like a decade, right?
Right.
Yes.
So if the Cowboys, let's say that the Eagles take a little bit of a dip and they win 13 games, okay? Maybe 12 games. The Cowboys win 12 games. Let's see the Lions. Defense improves. Jared Goff, another year in this system. He already was top 5 last year in multiple categories. You just mentioned the Tom Brady year where he had 32-7. Goff had 28-7, 29-7 last year.
Yeah.
Imagine he has a similar year. Let's say he throws 30-plus touchdowns, right around the same interceptions. He's top 3 in multiple categories. The Lions win 13 games. They're 1 or 2 in the NFC. Plus 4,000, Sam Flannel, are great odds for that. Can you at least see that pathway? I'm not saying they'll win 13 games, but would you be shocked if they do?
I could,
because I have them at 11. That's 2 more.
You know what? I actually think it'd be more likely that Jared Goff puts up those kind of numbers, like maybe ups his touchdown passes by 3, gets 32, 8 interceptions. The reason that that Tom Brady won the MVP that year was because the Patriots were the number 1 seed. I think it would take the Lions dethroning the Eagles and the 49ers in the NFC for Jared Goff to even. That's his easiest pathway. If somehow, some way, the Lions can get the number 1 seed, that's when you can start the conversation. I just think when you look at the past 10 MVPs, we're talking about some of the best years any quarterbacks have ever had. I just wanted to put it into a little perspective how hard and how exclusive of a club that is, because we're talking about some of the best players to ever play the position. I mean, you're talking about Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. Those are 4 of the top 10 quarterbacks ever.
And then there's Matty Ice.
Jared Goff.
Yeah.
But then there's Matty Ice, who had that year he had with Kyle Shanahan. And again, for Jared, he's only only 28 years old. It's not like he's over the cliff. He's 38, 39. The guy is 28 years old. Not saying he's elite, but why can't it be Jared Goff? Is my at plus 4,000, Lucas? Why can't it be?
It's almost like I was making these same points you made about Brock Purdy. But that got discounted. Is the pathway there? Absolutely. Absolutely it could be there. Is it going to happen? In my opinion, absolutely not. I think the Lions are going to be a little bit more run heavy than they were last year. We've kind of talked about it already on previous shows. The defense is going to be better. We don't think they're going to be in as many shootouts. I think the Lions' running game is going to be kind of what drives this offense. So it's not that Jared Goff can't, but I just don't think it's going to be possible this year. I think the Lions are way too complete of a team on offense and defense for him to really go into that 40, 50 touchdown mode. It just does not make sense to me.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll be covering Goff week to week on the Lions pregame show that I'll be hosting weekly. And the Woodward Sports Lions pregame show returns for another season of Lions football. Join WSN host Jeff Iafrate with weekly special guests on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. Whether you're sipping the Kool-Aid or kicking off screaming, same old Lions, you will not want to miss this show. Premieres live starting Thursday, September 2nd at 6 p.m. Eastern. Join us all season for an action-packed pregame experience. The Woodward Sports Lions pregame show. Now back to Jared Goff and his MVP odds. Again, I agree with you, Lucas. I think running the ball is going to be a priority there, so I think Jared will have a similar year. But the odds at plus 4,000, think about the difference. Joe Burrow and Jared Goff. I think Joe was, plus 700?
Pull it back up. We'll see.
So you have Joe Burrow at plus 700 and Jared at plus 4,000. That's why it's intriguing. Although I'm not betting my entire bank account on it, you can't tell me plus 4,000. There's a pathway. The 49ers, both the 49ers and Eagles, even if they take a little bit of a step back, let's say they win 11, 12 games and the Lions win 13, there's the route. Now, everything has to go right, of course, but I think Jared can do it. I don't think it would be crazy if Jared won MVP. I don't think so.
You wouldn't be sitting here like, if Jared Goff won NFL MVP.
He put up top 5 stats last year. Let's say he increases his touchdown number a couple
if he takes
win
the
more
path,
games.
It wouldn't be crazy. But compared to like the Trevor Lawrences, the Joe Burrows, we don't have to go down the list. You wouldn't be at the end. If Jared Goff won MVP, I would be sitting here like that meme where it's like, I would have no clue what to expect out of it. Like I would be flabbergasted.
Now,
flabbergasted is a perfect word.
Now, let me preface this by saying this. I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe I'd be a little shocked. But again, with the offense he has already in place, right? The offensive line, the weapons. I know J-Mo's out 6 games, and Amon-Ra, we're counting on him to have a big year. I don't think I'd be flabbergasted that Jared Goff, he, again, top 5 in multiple categories last year. If he ups it to top 2, top 3, and they win 13 games, he has to at least be in that discussion. Is that fair?
I mean, if he does, that's a lot of ifs there. I will say that. But you know what though, Jeff? And this is where I sometimes, I like to listen to your guys' perspective, and it makes me think about something that I didn't think about before. Because I know when I mentioned that I think Jared Goff has no chance, I was looking at that more not in the betting odds perspective. But one thing that I just kind of had to contextualize while I was sitting here is, are you telling me that Joe Burrow is about 6 times more likely to win NFL MVP than Jared Goff?
6 times.
If he's plus 700 and Jared Goff is plus 4,000, that's what you're saying. I don't think that that's the case, personally.
I do. 100%. 100%. It's not without a doubt.
What? You think Jared Goff, you think Joe Burrow 6 times more likely to win MVP?
Absolutely. I don't. The odds are odds for a reason. Like, Joe Burrow's a better quarterback. He has a better system. He's
no one's denying that.
Proven more in the playoffs. I mean,
but the playoffs don't matter.
He has a less complete team around him. He's playing in a tougher division. He's playing in the AFC. So if he comes out and he wins the AFC, no doubt. Like the path for Joe Burrow is set up much easier than Jared Goff.
In the AFC, it's set up much easier.
I think for Joe Burrow, yeah. Like Joe Burrow is.
So you're telling me
there's Patrick Mahomes, and right under him is Joe Burrow.
Hold on. So you're telling me in the division he's in the conference he's in, against Patrick Mahomes, it's much easier than Jared Goff in an NFC where the top 2 teams, there's big questions around them.
I think so, yes.
Okay, well, I disagree. Not
we can
6
agree
times.
to disagree, but
I don't think so.
Joe Burrow's built for it.
No one's saying Joe Burrow's not built. Trust me, I love Joe Burrow. But I'm telling you, in the NFC, a more wide open conference, the Lions are a top 3, top 4 team. The Bengals as well. They're up there in the AFC. But to me, the pathway would be easier for Jared. Maybe statistically you'll be like, well, Joe's already done it, but Jared early in his career was putting up numbers. So it's not like he cannot do it. If you telling me they put up numbers and they win 12, 13 games, like that,
I mean, what do you think?
Crazy.
It's not crazy, but again, it's a lot of what ifs. I think the Bengals, we are all banking on winning 12, 13 games this year. No,
Speak for yourself.
You think the Browns are walking out of the AFC North?
So does Kalamazoo doesn't think
there's more competition in their division.
I think the Bengals, in my opinion, because this is where I think Joe Burrow is 6 times more likely. The Bengals are going to win that division, which in itself I think is more impressive than what Jared Goff is going to do in the NFC, because I think they're a lot, quote unquote, unless anything happens to win the NFC and at least NFC North and at least make the playoffs. And everything in the AFC is for throw up. So if they win the AFC North, Joe Burrow's already a top 2 quarterback in the NFL and the AFC.
I agree with that.
So it's just like Joe Burrow just has to be Joe Burrow again, really, for him to win MVP. That's all he really has to do. Jared Goff has to play above his skill set.
Yeah, but Joe Burrow also doesn't have this whole Lions narrative working against him that Jared Goff has. So that's he has to play to his ceiling, Jared Goff, and then he has to also overcome much more in terms of like the media and everything swirling around him that he already has.
Yeah, I think that Lions storyline, and we'll talk about who that'll favor in a couple of minutes, because I think that is real, the Lions storyline. But my point about Jared is he's thrown over 30 touchdowns already in his career, so I don't think it's like we're sitting here like it's Jimmy G, and we're like, oh, if he has an MVP.
No.
Like, Jared's done it. Like, he's thrown 30-plus in his career, and he's had 5,000 yards. Like, he's done all of that, so that's my thinking on it. 6 times I don't agree with. That's a lot.
Maybe it's egregious, but I just...
maybe you're talking Desmond Ridder. Yeah, 6 times more likely. Like, 6 to Jared, I mean, that's a lot.
I mean, I'm assuming there's probably 6 guys in front of Jared, and Joe's probably the favorite right now, if I had to guess, obviously.
Watch. I bet you Fields is above him.
I guarantee Fields is above.
Stupid. I'll tell you what. JB, can you tell everybody about Big Boy, please?
I got you, man. The Strawberry Fest is back at Big Boy. Try the classic breakfast items like some strawberry hotcakes or the mouth-watering red velvet waffles. But if you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with their refreshing summer splash salad. But don't leave without grabbing some dessert, because they've got the very delicious classic strawberry pie, the deep-fried vanilla Oreos, and of course, the strawberry hot fudge cakes, and so much more at your local Big Boy.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Back to the Morning Woodward Show here at woodwardsports.com. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening via podcast, have you downloaded this episode and left a 5-star review yet? Now's the time to do it, and then go follow us on all social media at Woodward Sports. But we have some more pre-football to get to.
Dan Campbell, right? We talk about this. Gabrielle kind of mentioned that before, the storyline of the Detroit Lions maybe benefiting some of these guys with awards. I think it's going to benefit Dan the most, to be honest with you, because Dan's a fan favorite. He's a media favorite because he's a great human being, but also they showed last year, the second half of the season, he could win games. 8-2 the last 10 games. Coach of the Year odds. He's up there. He's up there right now currently, and I'll read those odds to you right now. This is per 33rd team. He's the favorite, plus 800. Second, Sean Payton, plus 1,000, which, again, why? Storyline. Broncos were one of the worst disastrous situations. Now Sean Payton's there, so there's the storyline. Arthur Smith, plus 1,400. Matt Eberflus, Jesus, plus 1,400. Robert Saleh.
Shout out Toledo.
I think Robert Saleh's a sneaky one, too, to be honest with you, plus 1,600. Matt LaFleur, Mike McDaniel. I'll just stop there. Mike McDaniel, plus 2,000. All right, Dan Campbell.
He was good last year. Stop
with the Mike
disrespecting.
McDaniel slander. What's that about?
Just whenever clock management comes into play, Mike McDaniel. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of McCarthy. Excuse me. Mike McDaniel, I love. Yeah, Mike McDaniel, I love. Sorry. There he is. Mike McCarthy. Jesus. He better not even be on this list, is he? No, he's not.
No,
Oh, we're
yeah.
good. We're good. Mike McDaniel, you're straight. Okay, Dan Campbell plus 900. I think that's fair, to be honest with you. You look at the division they're in, NFC North, Lions are the favorite. You look at the NFC, ESPN thinks they're a top 4 team in the NFC. They have the storyline. They're a team that over the last 2 years have just slowly gotten better. If they win 12 games, Sam Flannel, give Dan Campbell that award.
Well, I was going to say,
Telling me there's a chance.
I think there's a very, very good chance, actually. And the fact that Dan Campbell is the favorite as of right now, I think that's, how would you say, apropos? That's apropos.
Apropos.
I think I used that phrase correctly, but it is right, because I think we all think that the Lions are going to win the division. They're going to win a playoff game. I think they're going to at worst be the 3 seed in the NFC going into the playoffs. And if that's the case, given the Lions storyline, also given the fact that even though they won games last year, they finished the season strong. They finished 9-8. It would still be that next hump for the Detroit Lions to win the division, something they haven't done since the early 90s. And we all know when it comes to these awards, you have to be deserving, obviously,
right,
as Dan Campbell would be if they do win the division. But there also has to be a narrative. The one thing that I could see tripping up Dan Campbell, even if he does everything that he's supposed to do and the Lions do everything that they're supposed to do, the one thing that could trip him up is if there's a first-year head coach who orchestrates a huge turnaround. I don't think that's very likely, because the only two that I could think of...
DeMeco Ryans ain't doing it.
DeMeco Ryan, Shane Steichen, Jonathan Gannon. I would probably say
Jonathan Gannon sure as hell ain't.
Shoo.
Clayton Tune season.
Well,
That's facts.
That was amazing, because I will say this, when it comes to even last year's Coach of the Year, why did Brian Daboll get it? Because he took over a dumpster fire, a Joe Judge 4-13 team, and led them to a 9-7-1 and the playoffs and a playoff win in his first year. You even look at 2020 Kevin Stefanski. Why did he get it? He took over another perennial loser in the Cleveland Browns that were 6-10 and had Freddie freaking Kitchens as their head coach. Kevin Stefanski, at least in his first year, he comes in, they're 11-5, they make the playoffs. They actually win a playoff game with Baker Mayfield as their quarterback, obviously more because of guys like Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, but still. And then you even look at 2018 Matt Nagy. My point is that first-year coach turnarounds have won 4 out of the last 6 Coach of the Years. Even 2018 Matt Nagy, remember a time where we thought that he was a good coach. He took over a Bears team that was 5-11, had a stagnant offense. His first year there, they're 12-4. Mitch Trubisky actually looks functional. Eddie Jackson and Khalil Mack have the best years of their career, and they win the division and go 12-4. And even the year before, who won Coach of the Year? Sean McVay, taking over for Jeff Fisher, who they were 4-12 with him, and then Jared Goff looked horrible. Sean McVay comes in, Todd Gurley and Jared Goff both take off. They go 11-5 and win the division and go to the playoffs, obviously lose in the first round. But my point is that Dan Campbell, I think as long as the Lions win the division, and I would just say win the division because playoffs don't matter when it comes to Coach of the Year. As long as they win the division, I think he is basically a lock for it, unless if you see like Shane Steichen or DeMeco Ryans really, really lead big-time turnarounds in year one.
Well, it would be the first time since Wayne Fontes in 91 the Lions have had a coach who's won Coach of the Year.
Wayne Fontes.
Wayne Fontes.
The OG.
Yeah, and that's, Terry would refer to him as maybe Cocaine Wayne. But you know what? That's another story. Wayne Fontes, though, last time the Lions even seen any type of success, it would be big time for this, but Gabrielle, what do you think? Dan Campbell's odds? I think there's a realistic pathway, and I think his pathway, Sam Flannel, could be like a Kevin Stefanski. That type, 11-5. The Browns are known as the Browns. The Lions win 12 games. I think it's his award.
If the Lions start better this year than they did last year, which the chances of that happening are incredibly high, I can't imagine that they're going to start anything like they did last year. I think that's an automatic shoo-in for him this season. That shows that he can progress. That shows how he's been able to turn this team around step by step. Everyone loves his attitude. You now have this Dan Campbell player that's been swirling around in the media, and there's so many of these little pieces that he's added up over these last couple of years that's leading to this moment where I think he is the right man for this job.
And JB, I mean, you throw money on the Lions. You've been doing it. You throwing money on Dan Campbell to win Coach of the Year?
I wouldn't mind throwing a couple dollars on it. Just saying,
bones?
Yeah, just a couple bucks on it.
Bones.
I mean, I think America and media are just in love with the Lions and Dan Campbell's story as of right now. So I think that could also push them up a little bit more. But you know what? We will definitely be watching out for them.
We will.
And college football as well, because if you're anything like us, you know there's nothing better to do on a fall weekend than to lock in hours of football. Well, now Woodward Sports can top that. Sit back, crack open a cold one, line up your bets, and tune in to watch college football all Saturday, every Saturday, and Lions football Sunday with your favorite Woodward Sports personalities. Woodward Sports Live Game Watch Party is the latest show to hit the WSN YouTube channel, premiering Saturday, September 2nd at 12 to watch the Michigan Wolverines versus ECU, and then right after that it's Michigan State versus CMU. Then tune in for the Lions season kickoff against the Chiefs at Burrowhead.
Oh, come on.
Sorry, I don't know why I said it. Arrowhead on September 7th. Watch along all season on the WSN YouTube channel.
Patrick Mahomes was
Good job,
laughing
JB.
all the way
Good
to the
job,
Super
JB.
Bowl. That's all I'll say. But you know what?
Not
That's
without
all
Chris
good.
Jones, he ain't.
I mean,
according to you,
I'm talking about
your
last
New
year.
York Jets are now going to be making the Super Bowl.
All I'm saying is, Lucas, I know you know ball, as everybody would say. Chris Jones would be a massive loss.
Well, that's exactly why the Lions are going to trade for him at the trade deadline.
Oh, please make that happen. Oh, my God.
And again, people are chiming in as well. And for this, I guess, topic about Dan Campbell, he should be the favorite. I don't think anyone's surprised. And Steve-O says, Sam, if Dan Campbell is going to be coach of the year, he better damn well be Kansas City. Yeah, I think that's part of it.
No, I don't think that's a prerequisite.
I think it'd be a good way to start, though.
Oh, sure.
You beat Kansas
sure.
City. Now Dan's on the Lions are on the map, but Dan specifically is on the map.
If
you go
right.
head to head with Andy Reid, you take him down in Arrowhead or Burrowhead. Excuse me. No, I'm kidding. Yes. But that's big for Dan Campbell.
Well, 100%. That would put Dan Campbell really on national notice, I will say, even though he already is because of what we saw in Hard Knocks, and obviously he's been a success for the Lions thus far, and I think national media and obviously local media and us, we all see it. But yeah, if you actually go into Kansas City and win that game, whether Chris Jones is there or not, that would be, at that point, I would say that Dan Campbell would go from being the favorite to the overwhelming favorite. My point is that they can still lose that game, and Dan Campbell can still definitely win Coach of the Year. I mean, when you look at the schedule, and I know they're playing him in Week 1, and Week 1 is probably the chance where you're going to want to get the Kansas City Chiefs, especially if Chris Jones isn't there. Kansas City at Arrowhead is the toughest game of the year. You can still lose that game and accomplish Arrowhead and accomplish every single thing that you want, and Dan Campbell can still win Coach of the Year.
Who farted says, if the... What? What are you laughing at?
Steve Reinhardt's comment. It's rude towards me, but I thought it was funny. Shout out, Steve. That's a good comment.
What do you...
Lucas will win Grindr app Customer of the Year. Hey,
Lucas,
I can't even be mad at that one. That was a good joke. That was a good joke.
Okay.
Good joke.
Hey, yo.
It's a joke, though. I'm all over Hinge, baby.
Who farted? Jesus. Who farted? If the Lions beat Kansas City Week 1, holy shit, that is going to make this season absolutely electric from Week 1. There's a lot riding on that game. Not that it'll make or break the Lions season, Sam. And I know you're a big Patrick Mahomes fan.
Yeah.
Not. I know Big D would call you a Chiefs fan, but you're a Mahomes fan as well. If the Lions beat the Chiefs, man, what that would do, and I can't imagine the Kool-Aid after that game. If you beat the Chiefs, I think people will go from 12 wins to 14 wins. But I that would be incredible for this market especially.
You know what? I will say this, because I think it would be a hell of an accomplishment whether Chris Jones is there or not.
Yeah, you'll take it either way.
If the Lions win at Arrowhead, they're getting the number 1 seed. Seriously.
Wait,
the number 1 seed of the
Win
NFC.
at Arrowhead,
Yes.
They're going 15-2.
No.
14. Like, what's the path, Flannel? What's the path? It's just a very dramatic statement you're making.
No, that is their toughest game of the year, I would say. Maybe at Dallas or at Los Angeles.
But we agree, you're going to lose. There's going to be some games that
Sure.
you're supposed to win that you might not win. It all kind of balances out. But you think number 1 seed?
I think the number
Chiefs.
1 seed in the NFC is 13-4 this year.
I'm with you.
I don't think that's a far off.
It would obviously take the Lions winning at Kansas City, which is a big ask, but still, that would be just paradigm shifting for the Lions, even more so than they already are, because they've already shifted the paradigm. I know on heavyweights they basically buried SOL. They did a ceremony, and I would second that. SOL is dead. But if you go into Arrowhead in Week 1 and beat the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and all them, They're getting the 1 seed.
I can also see a scenario, and now people are going to probably flame me for this, but I could see them beating the Chiefs and then losing to the Seahawks. Like, I could see that as well, man.
Very well.
Like 1-1.
Unpredictable is the word for the Lions.
Yeah, you don't know. Right? Like, is that crazy?
No, I'm more worried about the Seattle game than I am Kansas City, especially because Seattle's at home.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, that's like the game
Stakes are
where
high.
Ford Field is going to be rocking week 2 if we beat Kansas City. So to think that if I'm with you, Jeff, like it can definitely happen, but I wouldn't. If we beat the Chiefs, I would feel confident that the Lions could beat the Seahawks as well. Now, that's where it's kind of one of those games where you don't want to get smacked in your face and being like, you're on sky high because you just got the Kansas City Chiefs beat, but now you just lost to the Seahawks, and now you're back to earth.
Right.
That's what I would rather avoid. I'd rather lose to Kansas City week 1 than lose to the Seahawks week 2.
Yeah, and again, Steve says the first game of the season is always crazy unpredictable, and that's probably why I wouldn't be. And I give you credit, Sam, because you went out on a limb, but I wouldn't overreact if they beat the Chiefs. I'd be ecstatic, I'd be excited, but there's still the Seahawks next. Like, I could see them starting 1-1 either way. If they lose to the Chiefs, I could see them beating the Seahawks. They'll be 1-1. And then I could also see them beating the Chiefs and losing to the Seahawks, still being 1-1. So it won't change my expectations. I still think they'll win 11 games. That's my record prediction. But if they win 13, I think that could be good enough to win the NFC. I do think that.
Absolutely.
I don't think they'll be a 14-win team this year in the NFC. I don't think so. I'm with you there.
No,
I am.
I would 100% agree with that. And I'm not going to – and if the Chiefs have Chris Jones, then they are the Monstars. If they don't, then they
hit him high, hit him high.
Hit him high, hit him high. But, I can't say that now because there's no guarantees about Chris Jones.
We got that queued up just for you.
I have them. I appreciate that. I have the Lions winning 11 games, and I also have them losing at Kansas City. So if they win that game,
maybe 12-13.
I'm just saying.
All right, look at Sam Flannel drinking a little bit of that Kool-Aid.
Hey,
you never know.
But I'm a hater, right?
It could affect any of us. What are you guys laughing about?
They call. So if you guys were at the beginning of the show, this is Jalen. Jalen's going to be help TDing on the Booner and Broder show.
Yeah. He's the man.
He said, Lucas, JB's brother is behind you. But Jalen knows ball. Jalen's big into hoops. He knows football, too, so he's definitely going to be on camera a lot more as we go on. He just learned how to do all this technical shit. I don't know if you guys remember when I first started, but there's a little bit of technical difficulties here at Woodward, so we're going to try to mitigate that when Jalen comes on. But he's going to be a big part of the network on the weekend stream and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I don't like to think of them as technical difficulties. I like to see them as technical opportunities.
Or here's one, Gabby. Technical learning moments.
Yeah.
Technical learning moments.
I like
we're
that.
happy.
Glass half full.
Yep, there we go.
All right. Well, if you get,
you know what? Go
Let's try to take some heat for Flannel in the chat.
All right, Sam, tell us about Swiss Insurance.
Absolutely, because if we have some technical learning moments, we might need insurance, and Swiss Insurance is the way to go. And are you planning or sponsoring a golf outing this year? I'm not going to play. Ask Swiss Insurance about hole-in-one, because I'm terrible, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
Ask Swiss Insurance about hole-in-one, putting contest, and $1 million shootout coverage. For a very affordable amount, you could give away a huge prize like $10,000 or a new car. Help build your business with big ideas. Check out Swiss today at swissins.com or call Mark at 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177. Swiss Insurance.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then, she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
How about that rookie? He is something else. How big is that?
All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage. You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper. Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Brand new state-of-the-art sports dome field house has a regulation volleyball court, and soccer field that can also be used for 7-on-7 football. That's Academy of Warren. They feature small classroom sizes. They got academic games, K-8 athletics, free breakfast and lunch, Ermanni and Edwards with Maz will be broadcasting tomorrow there from their carnival. Come meet the staff and explore your child's new school. Now accepting enrollment. Go to academyofwarren.net. And we're back here. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Don't forget, hit the like button on the stream. Try to get to 160, 170 if we can by the end of this segment. I want to do a little something not Lions related. Do something that I just saw in the media yesterday, and it was Pete Carroll talking to Richard Sherman on his podcast. And it's on the Volume Sports, and Pete Carroll had to sit down with Richard Sherman, and they went through that Super Bowl.
Got it whenever you're ready, Hefe.
This was hilarious to me. In the Seahawks, we all remember the Malcolm Butler play that ended and sealed that Super Bowl. Should have given the ball to Marshawn Lynch. He had 24 for $102. I mean, the guy was playing well, 4.3 yards per carry. They, actually Marshawn carried him into the red zone, and something happened. And that Pete Carroll still has to live with. But Pete Carroll explained his reasoning on why that play call was the call. And I want you guys to listen to it. And you guys can be the jury of if the decision was correct. Lucas, you can play it.
You guys are so mad at me and so pissed. We're hurt. I wish I could feel it the way I should feel it, but you got to keep going. That play just happened. Yeah. It wasn't like by design. There was no agenda. That play just happened. You guys couldn't hear it for years, but when we got down there, if you remember, we had one timeout. And so as soon as we got there, I said, one of these plays, we're going to have to throw it to get all 4 plays. Because I'm always make sure that we have a chance to get all 4 shots. Right. So we run the first play, and I think what happened is Bill's late. He sends in the goal line team, and we had already sent in 11. Right. That went through the play callers, and that's what led them to throw it on that down. Right. It had nothing to do with anything else. Right. We've practiced it a million times. It was just the way we had prepared. So I was rock solid on the philosophy of it. It just was the worst play that could ever happen, And the guy makes he made a heck of a play of a lifetime, a play of a career for everybody's career, really. Right. And it turned all of that so dark, so instantly. Yeah. And if you remember, my moment was, I bend down and think, oh shit, I got to take this. I thought this is one of those moments that you prepare for. You got to be the epitome of poise, handle it, and own it. There's nothing you can say that's going to put it any other place. It was just as catastrophic as any moment could be. But the thing was, had we won that game, we'd have won the next one. We'd have won again because we went back to the playoffs anyway. Right. Again, with all the turmoil. It was a great team, man. Yeah. We were a great team.
Oh my gosh, Richard Sherman's face while Pete was explaining all that. Do you have...
I'm getting it in right now.
He wants you guys to see his face. He's just sitting there like, yep. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I bet. Yeah, no, I understand. And then in his heart, he's like, you should have gave the damn ball to Marshawn Lynch. And I sent the screenshot to Lucas because you could really see the facial expressions on Richard Sherman because I love Richard. Look at this man's face. He's like, yeah, that's cap. There's no way. Pete Carroll, you could say anything. You say a whole monologue on why you did it. I don't give a damn. And Pete even said there's no agenda, meaning, people assumed he was trying to do that to get Russell Wilson that MVP, not Marshawn Lynch, which I don't think was the case. I think when you're in that type of situation, I don't think Pete's thinking about that. But his face, man, he was not trying to hear any of that, Sam Flannel.
100. Oh, my God. You know what? That was one of the worst days of my life. And you know where Pete Carroll should have been?
One of the worst days of your life?
Absolutely.
Why?
You know what?
Because Brady, were you just a Brady hater?
But first, let me explain why Pete Carroll in that particular game should have been coaching back at USC. And speaking of college football, Woodward Sports love of college football. Do you love college football? Well, Woodward Sports loves college football. That's why we're bringing you Woodward Sports for the Love of College Football pregame show, the latest WSN show to tune into on the YouTube channel. Spencer Raxter, myself, Flannel Sam, and Easy from the Woodward Heavyweights, and many more to get you ready for college football kickoff premiering live on September 2nd every Saturday morning from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. Whether you are a Sparty, Wolverine, or a fan of that other team that we won't mention, we welcome you all to start your day of loving college football with Woodward Sports Network every week. All right, so yes, that was a bad day in my life.
All right, yes, that was a bad day in my life.
My response to all that, Pete Carroll, this is what I'm giving you for that. And you know what else I'm going to say?
Why, Flannel?
And Tom Brady's not lucky.
Oh, well, okay.
Look.
Hold on. No, you go ahead. You go right ahead, Lucas.
Listen. To act like before that, Jermaine Kearse had probably one of the most lucky catches in Super Bowl.
Don't give me the curse shit.
I just gave you the curse shit. We're not going to act like that man didn't have one of the most fluke catches to get down the field, which is exactly what happened to Tom Brady when he had the Mario Manningham and David Tyree catch. That was the third one of that. The Seahawks arguably shouldn't even have been in that position. Flannel, I agree with you to hell that is one of the worst play calls, not even in Super Bowl history, but in NFL history in general. So the fact that you have Marshawn Lynch behind them, but to I don't know what Brady has to do with this. Brady put his team ahead before that 2-minute drive where they luckily got down there but couldn't finish it off. Brady had nothing to do with this. This is just the Patriots capitalizing on Pete Carroll making a bad decision.
And you need some luck to win Super Bowls. It's just how it is. But 7?
We have never seen a play like that in NFL history happen to any other quarterback. And do I need to remind you about Kyle Shanahan all of a sudden forgetting how to manage the clock at the end of that one Super Bowl?
But Brady didn't throw for 500 yards in that Super Bowl and come back in one of the probably the best comeback in NFL history.
I mean, I think that sack fumble that Dante Hightower had
threw 500 yards, Flannel.
Well, he also okay. And what about this?
That's all you need to say. If Aaron Rodgers would have thrown for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, you'd have been like, how is he not considered the GOAT? How is he not considered the best?
He did not throw 500 yards and 5 touchdowns in that game.
He was balling. He threw for damn near 500 yards in that game.
Okay, but also, what about
and the Philly Super Bowl? He was going crazy in the Philly Super Bowl.
That was his one unlucky moment. I give him that. But you know what else? You know what else? Because I'm not going to get slandered. I gotta actually. You know what? How about the first Super Bowl run where a game-ending turnover was ruled the Tuck rule, and then that entire Super Bowl run, Tom Brady led the Patriots offense to 29 points. Drew Bledsoe was actually the MVP.
So what about the Super Bowl year after that?
It was still more Belichick. He wasn't
and the
a great
one after
that. This 3 out of his first 4 Super Bowls, he wasn't a great quarterback yet. He also had his defense hold Peyton Manning to 3 points in one of those AFC Championship games and 14 points in another AFC Championship game. That actually happened. And what about the 2018, that AFC Championship game at Kansas City, where Tom Brady has a game-ending interception nullified by D. fucking Ford lining up off sides on a play he had no impact on? That stuff only happens when Tom Brady is playing quarterback.
You know what else only happens when Tom Brady's playing quarterback? Winning 6 Super Bowls. The man, you can say all the luck in you want, but every year he's had luck go against him as well. There's been plenty of time where every team that he's playing in the Super Bowl had to have a little bit of luck. I understand that Brady had great teams around him. But why do we love Tom Brady? Because he doesn't get in the way, and he just plays Tom Brady football, which is dissecting a defense. He's the best to ever go through progressions. He's the best to ever hit the checkdowns, and he still had a great arm. There's nothing. Best playoff performer of all time. There's no doubt in it.
I remember watching Mahomes win his first Super Bowl, and Jimmy G missed that throw to who was it?
Emmanuel Sanders.
Yes. Like, these things just kind of happen. Like, you could go back and nitpick a lot of things, but you can also bring up Mahomes when he lost the Super Bowl against the Bucs. That offensive line was awful. So there's always instances where you can bring it up. Brady's had a lot of instances like that, but still, I think the whole Belichick versus Brady thing is already over. Like, we know who's more valuable.
Well,
I know about
Wait a minute. Speaking of which,
Belichick was more valuable?
Another lucky Tom Brady moment. How many teams in the history of the NFL have held Patrick Mahomes to 9 points?
That's your boy. That's your boy.
Okay, and Patrick Mahomes wasn't good enough, but Tom Brady in that Super Bowl. But how many times has a Patrick Mahomes quarterback team scored under double digits? Once, and it was of course against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, because of course it is.
Do you think it maybe has to do with Tom Brady giving like 9, 10, 11 play drives that keep Patrick Mahomes off the field? I'm just saying that's what. Flannel, I know you hate it because there's not really a stat to put a number on it, but when you can manage the game and keep the other team's offense off the field, it usually helps your defense out a little bit and slows down the pace of the game, so then Patrick Mahomes isn't able to do Patrick Mahomes drives.
You know what also helps that, Lucas?
What is that?
Your defense holding them to 9. We're talking about 9. We're not talking about 17. We're not talking about 24. 9!
It does help, but at the same time, good quarterbacks find a way to win the game, and that's all that really matters. And he's done it better than any quarterback in NFL history, and there's no denying that.
But Sam, are you saying that Belichick is more valuable than Tom Brady?
3 out of those first 4 Super Bowls were definitely Belichick, 100%. More Belichick than Brady. Is that fair? Tom Brady wasn't a great quarterback until 2007.
I mean, I see what you're saying. Like, he definitely had to come into himself, but once he did, man, like, He's the best quarterback of all time.
What about that Super Bowl against the Rams? Not the first one, but the sixth one, where the Bill Belichick defense held that high-powered best offense in the league, Todd Gurley, to 3 points.
You're absolutely right. Like, Belichick is a great coach, probably top 2 all time. But we're not going to say that Tom Brady, it was not the most important part of that team, because at the same time, Tom Brady's the one that's under center every play, making sure that everything doesn't get fucked up. And he was one of the most turnover-friendly quarterbacks of all time. Like, he didn't turn the ball over. He rarely made mistakes. He carried his team to success damn near every year. There was never a year where the Patriots weren't the 1, 2, or 3 seed. And same thing with his time when he was in the Buccaneers. I get the last year when he retired, they're kind of washed, but he definitely wasn't getting any help from around him with the offensive line or running backs.
Oh, Jesus Christ! So
his
Tom Brady
running game was terrible that year. Oh my God!
Okay, we got to go to break here. We'll get to what's trending with Lucas, but first, Sam Flannel. I know you don't have the guns out, but can you tell everybody where you do work on those guns?
That's
I'm going to
Gabrielle
tell you about that today
Yes.
because I started off my morning at Planet Fitness, and Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and I mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. We are here to help you build a lasting, active lifestyle. Your fitness is essential, and fitness is a key part of not only physical, but mental wellness, which is why they have invited teens between 14 and 19 to work out for free all summer long as a part of their high school summer pass program. For more information or to join today, visit your local Planet Fitness or go to www.planetfitness.com. And can we cut back to Flannel for a quick gun show?
You gotta show the guns, Gabby. Gabby, you gotta show the guns. Let's see it.
Get it.
I got my long sleeve shirt on today, so you can see.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper. Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Your childhood may be over, but certainly playtime is not. Outdoor Power Equipment, or Outdoor Equipment Company, is your source for outdoor power equipment. Sales, service, and parts carrying top brands such as Bad Boy, LS Tractor, Stihl, and much more. For more information, visit them at OutdoorEquipCo.com. Outdoor Equipment Co., your power equipment playground. We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show. Last 15 minutes of the show. We're in the second hour here. Appreciate you all for joining us on this Wednesday morning. Don't forget, hit the like button if you haven't already. We much appreciate that. And again, we got to get to what's trending with Lucas. Lucas, what do you got for us?
We'll make this one snappy. But Deuce Staley, or not Deuce Staley, say this all. Deuce Vaughn. He's been making a lot of noise in Cowboys camp, but CeeDee Lamb, he did him dirty yesterday. He decided to hold up his cleats, and looks like they could be my nephew's cleats.
Everybody do me a favor and pass the message. Deuce, stop leaving your cleats and your gloves in the locker room. This is not your home.
I mean, that is, I'll play it one more time for us in a second, but there is no way. Those cleats were like the size of it. When you didn't realize how small they were, but then when you picked it up, it's like, what are we doing here? I mean, let's look at it one more time.
Everybody do me a favor and pass the message. Deuce, stop leaving your cleats and your gloves in the locker room. This is not your home. Everybody do me a favor and pass the message. Deuce.
So I don't know what I'm in on Deuce Staley, but the cleat size here it's alarming. Like, I didn't realize there'd actually be an NFL player with like size 6 cleats.
Well, he is 5'5", so like he's. How tall is Kevin Hart? What's Kevin Hart, like 5'4"? He's about as tall as Kevin Hart.
Probably around there.
He's Kevin Hart out there. But he's got heart though. Speaking of heart,
he's been making dudes look stupid too.
Kevin Hart's 5'2".
Kevin Hart is 5'2".
So he's only three inches taller than Deuce Vaughn. Jesse says he's 5'8". Is he 5'8"? I thought he was shorter.
Vaughn? No, he's definitely under 5'8".
Yeah, he's like 5'6", dude. He's
literally Darren Sproles.
Maybe in cleats he's 5'8", 5'7". Maybe he gets an inch or two. But yeah, that's crazy. Is that a joke or is that real?
No, that was legit.
Oh my God. Well, no, I've come around on Deuce Vaughn. At first, me and you were skeptical because I don't know if he'll hold up in the NFL. But the dude's making plays in preseason. So,
He is.
I mean, he could play.
He's looking good. He's looking good. And to finish this up, I just wanted to show you guys this. I've seen this a couple of times. But if you have not, Darnell Dockett, he used to play for the Arizona Cardinals, was a monster in college. If you have not seen his high school film, I'm about to put it on. But this man might be the most terrifying high school football player to ever play.
Really hard. I came out there and I was a little intimidated at first. His legs were just huge. He's about twice as big as any defensive end I've ever seen before. He's much faster. We ran away from him as much as possible.
It don't matter. I'll get you. You can run cross field, you can throw. I'll get you regardless.
Most people I see trash talk, use curse words.
Big boy, you tried? You tried?
But he was asking me if I was all right, if I was tired.
Big boy, 75. You all right? Give me 5. I like that. Hey, I better make this tackle.
It was pretty funny.
Dude, that's like Ray Lewis of high school right there. Is that the most intimidating / scary player you've ever seen in a high school
That guy
uniform?
just likes to hit people. I'm sorry. That dude is just dangerous.
Darnell Dockett is a terrifying human being. And that dude, that's someone that, like, if you're a parent watching, you're like, how old is that?
That you
is
would
that
have.
dude?
That's what all the, like. You need to see his ID. It's like the thing from bench warmers where it's like I am 13.
I am 12. Yeah.
I am 12. That's the exact situation it is.
Do you know who else has the best high school highlights I've ever seen? And Lucas, maybe you can bring them to what's trending sometime. Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, Derrick Henry.
Oh,
Derrick Henry. Not even
best
Najee.
high school running back ever. Best high school running back who ever lived. Will we agree with that? He has all the national records.
I mean, I'd have to take a deep dive.
Sure,
I'm not too deep into my high school running back bag, but he's definitely up there for sure.
Yeah,
you're just not tackling that man.
Barry was pretty crazy in high school too.
Yeah.
But that's it, fellas. We'll be sending it back to you. We'll take a little break, and then we'll get back to some mailbag.
Let's do it. We'll get to mailbag. We'll come back, and we'll answer all your questions. Get them ready for me, Sam, anybody on the show. We'll try and get to as many as we can. But first, we got to hear about our friends from Randy Wise.
Yeah, because Randy Wise is where you can go and make the wise choice for your next vehicle. And when you head over there, let them know that you watched the first episode of the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour and you want to register for the chance to win to play at one of Michigan's finest courses with 3 of your buddies and to have a dinner provided by Fairway Packing Company. Head down to Randy Wise and make the wise choice for your next vehicle today.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep-fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network. We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. It's mailbag time. Don't forget, hit the like button before we head out of the show. We would much appreciate that. But let's get to so many questions as we can, because people are already throwing them in. Mike G. Shout out to Mike G, by the way. Real OG. He says, mail sack, will Sam rock the maize and blue flannel next week? The time is now. Go blue.
Either next week or on Michigan Victory Mondays, which I think a lot of times will coincide with Lions Victory Mondays. So we will see. Definitely once a week when the season starts.
Let's see here. Nicholas Duncan, Mailbag Gabby. Who is winning the Natty this year? Who's winning the Heisman? You got any early picks?
You know who she's picking for Heisman?
Jordan Travis. Locking it in. You heard it here first.
You knew that answer, Nicholas Duncan.
He's going to be good.
And
Double down, Gabby. Who's winning the Natty?
I want to say it, but it is such like an FSU fan. But go Noles!
There we go.
Look at this one.
Yeah, Lucas.
Jamcat says, Mailbag, who will get an emoji first, Sam or Lucas?
Flannel, we got
What about
fight
me? Am
for
I
it?
just chop liver?
Well, out of you three, who's getting an emoji first?
I mean, look, we're all very, very deserving, I would say.
That's Flannel way of saying me. Flannel deserves it. He's on the desk. He's been waiting his time to get on the desk, so Flannel definitely deserves it.
Well, Lucas, you deserve it.
Thank you. No, you deserve it, Flannel. You deserve it.
Well, hold on. Speaking of getting on the desk, I got two guys, including Jalen over there, that's going to be up here on the desk holding it down at 8 to 10 weekdays, and that's the Booner and Broder Show, which you should check out. And have you been waiting for the perfect pair for your nightcap? Well, wait no longer. Woodward Sports is bringing you the newest show on the network, Woodward Nights with Broder and Booner. We found two of Detroit's newest up-and-coming sports personalities, and we're giving them a voice weekdays from 8 to 10 p.m. and premiering on Tuesday, September 5th. Join Booner and Broder every single night to hear some of Detroit's hottest takes, the best entertainment, and join the boys to talk some sports. We promise that you are not going to want to miss this. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. on the WSN YouTube channel. Be sure to tune in. Let's finish up these questions here, and Booner's out there in the chat, so shout out to him. Shad says, W show plug Jeff, my guy. I appreciate you, Shad. I saw another comment in here, Nicholas Earl, neither. Jeff needs another. I appreciate that. I already have two emojis, so I'm okay. I got the bald head emoji, which, you know, it is what it is.
Commemorates an important time in Woodward sports history.
Yeah, and then I also have the another emoji, because again, if my only emoji was my bald head, that would have been tough. That's a tough one, man.
Sorry.
Let's see. Tyler says, hopefully their takes are better than this drive I'm reading in the chat. Let's see here. Mailbag. At New Guys, Ben Wallace, a Detroit legend. I think Sam Flannel, you would agree, is a Detroit legend. At least give him that.
Sure.
Ben Wallace. No, sure.
Sure is not a confident answer.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah.
He was not very reassuring.
He was
right
an
there.
integral part of one of the 3 championships the Pistons have won. Yes, I will say he's a Detroit legend.
Okay. Let's see here. I saw another comment too, talking about food, and I wanted to find this one. It said, "Yeah, you know what? I always could eat. Doesn't matter. What was it? No, I lost it now. We'll go to Jesse. Mailbag. What's becoming more annoying saying? He's a dog, or you know ball, or you don't know ball. More annoying saying. I think he's a dog. I think that's getting kind of old because we're at fault for that on this show because we say it. But like Sam Flannel always says, how do you measure that?
I've always said.
How do you measure someone being a dog? I don't know.
I think Lucas, you got to come up with like the measurables for becoming a dog, for being a dog.
I'll come up with the system so we can measure it.
I love it.
We'll start at like dog, and then we'll go to like alpha or wolf, like those one dudes who are breaking down one.
Jeez.
Philip C. Chet a wolf.
Philip C. says, Mailbag, what's wrong with your hair, Jeff? I don't know. I mean, here, put the camera on me. What's wrong with it?
Nothing. It looks like it always does.
I got a haircut.
No bees flying in it. At least you're not running away.
No, it's just my hair, dude. You know. Thanks, Phil. I boosted my self-esteem this morning, so I appreciate you for that. Phil. Let's see. Justin from North Carolina, Mailbag. Will everybody be smoking hookahs on Mondays after the Lions beat the Chiefs? You know what? We want to do something different. That's Adam's thing. We want to do our own little spin on it. We'll be doing something. So you're going to want to be here for Victory Mondays, Victory Fridays. Every time the Lions win or lose, you're going to want to be here in the morning show. So it'll be a lot of fun for that. We got some surprises we're already cooking up. So we don't want to give anything away. We want it to be a surprise. But Kansas City, that Friday show, be ready. Oh my God. Be ready.
I think I found the food question. What Detroit stadium serves the best food?
Detroit Stadium, I would say, well, I like Little Caesars because I'm a big pizza guy. So I'll go over there. I'll get the Little Caesars pizza. I think Little Caesars is good, but also Ford Field is pretty good as well. They got Hungry Howie's in there. Is any stadium food like
Jalen didn't agree with you? What do you think?
And Ford Field stinks.
And I honestly think Little Caesars doesn't have
LCA
fantastic
for sure.
food.
Well, then who else? Comerica?
Well, I guess you know what?
Comerica ain't great.
Comerica has good food.
Yeah.
I would say like the stands at Comerica Park are better because they have like more of like the carts. but like the built-in ones are much better at Little Caesars because they have like full-on restaurant options at Little Caesars.
You get that little like at Comerica they got the little like nuts, like they sell like the little peanuts.
Yeah,
like,
okay,
Jeff. Those are mid.
The hot dogs, the tacos, the carnival food. Like there's so many options when you go to Comerica Park.
I'm not a big fan of Comerica food. Maybe that's just me. It's all preference. I love pizza, so I like going to LCA. I'll get a big old like the big slice they got, and I'm cool with that. Jesse says pause, Jeff, on the nuts, but hey, they do. Am I wrong? They got the cinnamon. They got those little nuts.
Those are delicious.
No, it is not. It's actually my girl's favorite thing there. I can't lie, but that's not the way. I'm not. This isn't Adam 22 stuff, all right? I'm not saying anything. Okay, it is what it is. Oh, wow, this show's off the rails. John Lord, Mailbag Jeff, are you Hollywood now? I guess I don't know. People call me Hollywood, so I guess I am Hollywood. I can't argue my way out of that one, so it is what it is. Let's see here. Coach Walk 37. Jeff knows ball. Well, what kind of ball? John Lord, or I don't want to Coach Walk. I don't want to walk into that one. Burns says, look at Jeff's arms. Well, that's weird. The man needs his food. Well, hold on. I am Italian, so I do love food. But yeah, Comerica, I've never gone to Comerica and been like, man, I got to get food here. You know what I mean? I've never. But maybe I don't really do that with stadiums in general.
But
so.
I think in general, like, I feel like baseball and the food, because of the hot dogs and like the peanuts and all that kind of stuff, I feel like they're kind of synonymous together. So maybe it's just like the nostalgia of it when you're at a baseball game, for me at least.
Am I the only one that's never went to a baseball game and like not had peanuts? Like,
bro,
is that
yeah,
like
no,
an iconic thing? Like, gotta get the peanuts. Like, have to.
Hey, Lucas, big nut guy. I mean, he's always been.
Always thinking about him.
He's always been, man. He's always been. Let's see. Shot says, I missed the old Juicy. That was Jeff was in the booth. Oh yeah, Morning Trail was in that booth for quite some time there, taking turns with Fish. But you know what, man. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us on this Wednesday morning. Again, it's been a great show. It was a fun show. Plenty to get to this week. Obviously, the Carolina game this Friday. We'll be breaking down more of the matchups as the game approaches. But until tomorrow, we appreciate you. Everybody, don't forget to hit the like button before you leave. We'll try to get to 175, even post-stream. Do it if you can. We appreciate the support. And always, you can check out the pod on any podcast platform you listen to. Just, again, Morning Woodward Show and then Woodward Sports for all the amazing articles, which Broder will be pumping out. He's at Allen Park, so go read his stuff. They got updates, they got show clips, merchandise, and much more. But until tomorrow, thank you, everybody. We'll see you.